what could you do next year if you kept those 100 and you added another 20 or 30%? And
I don't know.
And we also know that it costs 6 times more to get a new donor than it does to retain a donor that you already have. So it just makes common financial sense to hang on to the donors that you got. Any of you ever had this situation? A board member or a friend of your organization says, we need to get in front of Bill. Why do we? He's rich. Well, does he care about puppies? Well, no, he really cares about the arts. Well, then why would we waste our time running after Bill Smith when we know he doesn't really have just because he has money? Because money, as you all know, does not a giver make. Can you hear me better now? I'm not screaming. Money does not a giver make. But retention is the issue for all of us. Okay, now we move forward. Okay, so what drives retention? The timeliness of the thank you, providing donors a feeling that their involvement is appreciated, providing a feeling of being a part of an important cause, providing opportunities to make their views known, effectively trying to achieve the mission, sending information that shows who's being helped, and knowing what to expect from the organization. If you look closely at those drivers, a prompt, sincere, well thought out thank you will hit at all of those things that drive retention. If you write a thank you well and promptly. It's that simple and it's that complicated all at once. One more. So what are the keys to success in the thank you process? The first one is to do the time. Thanking donors is the one thing most nonprofits don't spend enough time thinking about. You're already thinking about East Texas Giving Day, and I know you spend a lot of time thinking about things like your annual appeal and a fundraising event that you might have, and we spend time. If it's a written appeal that's going out in the mail, what's the story we're going to tell, what's the font size, what are the colors we're going to use, we spend all the time on that. On fundraising events, you're thinking about the speaker, and you're thinking about the program, and you're thinking about the tablecloths, and my personal favorite, centerpieces. Once I retired, I said I will never allow the word centerpiece to be spoken in my presence ever again. I always had great people to work with me and help me with that, but I mean, really, we spend a lot of time thinking about the centerpieces. But do we spend time at that point in time thinking about the thank yous and what thank you is going to be? My best advice is you need to spend time thinking about it in the beginning when you're planning. You need to do it right. And Penelope Burke says that what do donors want? They want thank yous that are prompt and personal and tell the impact of their gifts. You can get everyone on board, and that's everyone in your organization, your staff, your board, your volunteers, because gratitude and giving and appreciation of giving have to become an organizational value. And you need to do it now, and you need to do it again. So let's look at these things one by one. Do the time. Next. When you do the time, as Stephen Covey would say, you begin with the end in mind. There's an art and science of fundraising, as I said, and this is the science part. Your thank you has to be thoughtful, it has to be methodical, and it needs to be strategic. Plan your thank yous, as I said just a moment ago. Do you have gift acceptance policies? Yes, I hope you do. You can find them in lots of different places. And then those gift acceptance policies should include a donor acknowledgement plan. Let's look at that donor acknowledgement plan. So it doesn't matter. There's no one right way to do it. The plan that's right for your organization is what's right for yours. But at hospice, and I'll talk about that because that's kind of that's the last place I really worked. Gifts of $249 or less were signed by, the thank yous were signed by the development director, $250 and up, signed by the executive director, $500 and up, got a second thank you from the board chair, either written or a phone call, and then gifts of 1,000 more definitely received a phone call from somebody else in the organization. There's no right way to do it, but if you have a plan, then it's easy to follow the plan. And because if it's not written, or at least in my world, if it's not written down, it wasn't going to happen. It's an investment in your organization, an investment in the effort to raise more money. Okay. You need carefully crafted, well-edited thank yous for many and varied gifts. And if you write these ahead of time, then it's easy to get them out the door. And then you need extraordinary thank yous. If somebody gives a great big gift, if they make an in-kind contribution, if something, a gift from their IRA, or any kind of something that's out of the ordinary, of a check that comes in the mail, then you need a different thank you for that. And if you have it already written, the template of it, then you can put the name in, you can put the money amount in, and go from there. I need to say that when I'm talking about written thank yous here, and it's not just that I'm old and old school. I know that gifts come to us now in different ways. But my experience so far has been that for most nonprofits, the majority of our gifts still come old-fashioned way by mail. You get online gifts, but you respond to, and you have the ability to respond to those online gifts online immediately when you get the gift, but they should also always receive a written thank you. Anybody here have a different experience? I mean, are most of your gifts still coming in the mail? Yours.
I mean, I go around, I have a veterans program where I work at Meals on Wheels in Palestine, and I'm the coordinator of that, and we go around and get donations from the community, and every time I get a donation, I do a handwritten thank you note.
But they hand you a donation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so it's not so much mail, but it's physically.
Right, but I still believe in doing a handwritten
Right.
thank you note.
That's right, that's really important. Okay, let's move on. So what are the qualities of a good thank you? It's timely. We talk about different mechanisms for giving, but to our donors, the word multi-channel doesn't really mean anything. They're giving you a gift, they don't care. They're just choosing the way that it gets to you. Ideally, you should respond to that gift within 48 hours, I think. Maybe in your office, this is a stretch goal. Surely you should respond within a week. I once gave a gift to a local organization and I received a thank you 4 months later. I sometimes, it's counterintuitive because smaller organizations who receive fewer gifts, you would think would be faster at the thank you. But it doesn't really work that way because smaller organizations, those people, you all sitting in the development seat or the executive director seat or chief or the board chair seat, you've got a million other things going on. And sometimes thank you doesn't rise to the top of the priority list. But there's also, I came new to an organization one time and they proudly announced that they only went to, all their mail came to the post office box, and they only went to the post office box once a week to be efficient. Well, they were already a week behind. From the gifts that came last Monday, when they went the next Monday, they were already a week behind in that. So you have to personalize it, you have to change it periodically, and acknowledge special instructions. Okay. Let's go. I'm off my track. I think I got going.
I think it's all good.
All right, there we go. I made up this word, routinize. It just means to make routine everything that it's possible to make routine, getting the letters processed and ready to go so that you can have time to personalize everything that you can and you have time to personalize. Okay, next one. Personalize to their donor. Use their name and yours. Don't ever say dear friends or dear donor. So the letter says, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Smith. If you know them, write a little line through it and say John and Nancy. And then it's signed Nancy Lamar. But if you know them, you sign Nancy. not Nancy Lamar. I was on the board of an organization one time and on a first name basis with the executive director, and I made a small gift, and I got a letter, "Dear Mrs. Lamar." Y'all, nobody calls me Mrs. Lamar. Mrs. Lamar was my mother-in-law. And it was signed John Smith, not John Smith. So it just didn't feel right. And I mean, it wasn't a huge gift, but I was very involved with that organization. I felt that, you know, if I felt that way, I know other donors who received a gift might also felt the same way. And then you can, so make it as personal as you can and personalize to their relationship to the organization and personalize to their giving history. I used to ask, because it was, hospice gets a lot of gifts and a lot of them are memorial gifts. And so if I stopped every time, they would prepare the thank you letters for me. And if I had to stop every time and look in the software to see what that person's giving history was, it would take me all day. So they would my assistant would print out for me the history from Donor Perfect so that I could look and see, this is the 10th gift this person has made in their lifetime. This is the 3rd one they've made this year, whatever it happened to be. And I could make a note of that. On that note, we appreciate your gift. I was following those instructions, and I saw this man, Mr. Green, I'm making up names, Mr. Green had given us $1,000 every year for the last 3 years. And so I wrote a note, and I said, we're grateful for your gift, and we are honored that you've chosen to give so generously for the last 3 years, blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, you have a visitor, and I go, there's this man I've never met before. He goes, I'm Mr. Green. I said, oh, I remember. Mr. Green, thank you. So he said, listen, you wrote a note on my letter to say that I'd given $1,000 every year for the last 3 years. I said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, let me just tell you. He said, I only give because I live down the street from hospice, and I pass by here every day. And my neighbor said, y'all are a good organization, and my accountant said I need to give away some money. So that's the only reason I've been given, but I can see now that this gift makes a difference, and it matters to you all. I'm like, yes. Another story is that we had a precious donor who had a very common name, we'll call him John Williams, but I had met him on several occasions because he had come to some little community events we had, and he lost his wife, and he was just the gentlest, kindest gentleman in the world, and he was really grieving. And so I'd had several little conversations with him, and he was not a big donor, but he was a really regular donor. But he had a very common name, and a gift came across my desk, and I signed it Nancy Lamar. I didn't pay attention that it was my little John Smith. If I paid attention, I would know that he lived in, I don't know, Murchison. So it wasn't. That would have been my clue, but I was in a hurry and I blah, 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 and I get a phone call from him. You forgot me. And I said, oh no, I'm so, I said, well, I'll never forget you, why? And he said, you didn't write a note on my letter. So be careful what you start, that you have the ability to keep it up. Okay. And then you can get creative. This is the art part. There's only so much you can do with a paper letter, right? But you can put a photo in it and write something on the back of it. You can insert a photo into your letter if you want to. And this is where you can use a client story. We had great thank yous from patient families that had cared for whose loved one we had cared for. We would we'd say things like, this note expresses far better than I am able to what the care means. And there was a little paragraph taken from a family thank you. Use warm, uplifting, positive words. The thesaurus is your friend. You may go look at, find some other ways to say how heartfelt that gift is to you. And use the word you. Look what you have made possible. Thanks to you, we are able to. All those kinds of things. You've given help, hope, food, whatever, in those letters. Okay. And then include information on how the gift will be used, if you can do that. A brief information on a program or a project, you can tell a client story. Be careful about the implications of restriction. If the donor's giving you money for a specific project, you want to make sure that you acknowledge that. And you can refer to your website or a YouTube video or whatever, and make sure you tie it to the specific ask to which they are responding. My friend Hannah Harris at the food bank is the video whiz. And she keeps, we all have our phone with us all the time, but she does these selfies where she's individualized to donors. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, look where I am. I'm at the warehouse and we just got a truckload of peanut butter. You helped us, your donation helped us buy, and I want you to know how much we appreciate it. And scans that thing, and she emails it to him. She sends it to him. I mean, it's such a nice touch to be able to do that. You can do it at Habitat, on a work site. Look at us. Here we are, hammering nails. And there's so many wonderful things that you can do in social media, and all of that gives us a wonderful way to do all those things. I have to tell you that we received at the Fair Foundation, I'm a consultant to the Fair Foundation to help them with their giving. I'm not a decision maker, so I always tell nonprofits, you don't even have to be nice to me, because I'm just gathering information, I'm not making a decision. But we received a gift, a thank you for a 6-figure gift. It was a big one. And the first paragraph said, thank you so much for your gift toward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the thing we had decided to support. And the second paragraph began, because of your general support, we are able to blah, blah, blah. They had changed the first paragraph in their standard letter and made it specific to this gift, but the rest of their letter was their standard form letter that every $25 giver like me would have given. I was just appalled. I was appalled. So try to personalize it and make sure you pay attention to it. Okay. Other part of doing it right is that it should be personalized by the sender, signed in ink, signed by hand, never auto-penned, and with a handwritten note on the letter if you can do it. It needs to be, you need to change it periodically and make it changeable so that you're not reinventing the wheel every single time. We used to, at hospice, we changed our letters every quarter. My friends at Bethesda Clinic do a new letter every month. So it just depends on what you can do, what you're able to. And remember, what you start, you got to keep it up. So that's part of your plan. What's reasonable for us? What can we accomplish? You write separate letters for each appeal. If the theme of a certain appeal is springtime is the time for hope and renewal, then your letter for gifts to that appeal could say, springtime is a time for hope and renewal, and your gift helped us to do that. Whatever, it just references that to the appeal that you made. And acknowledge any special instructions that people have if they want to be anonymous, if it's an action gift, things like that. Okay. A thank you is not. Some things have only one purpose. Don't ever let anyone tell you you will wear that bridesmaid dress again. It is just a bridesmaid's dress. And a thank you is just a thank you. It should only be a thank you. Would you? Yeah. So a thank you is not another ask. I received a thank you recently. It was all to the point. It was a lovely letter. And at the bottom it said, we are already beginning to plan our event for next year and we hope we can count on you. I was like, honey, I just gave you a gift. Don't do that. And there's a verdict. The verdict's out on whether you should include a remittance envelope in a thank you. I don't like it. To me, that feels like another ask. But some people think that it's a way just to remind people to, here we are, don't forget us. What do y'all think about that? Do you include? No? Okay, yeah. See, I was right. I just think that, it doesn't feel right. It really doesn't feel right. But what I also can tell you, sitting in the same seat for 15 years, people save those stupid remittance envelopes. And we would get them periodically with the old logo from hospice that was 12 or 15 years older, you know, little old ladies like me who are paying bills by hand, and they have those envelopes in their basket where they put their bills, and they send those out. Some people do 2 letters, one a thank you and one a separate acknowledgement with the IRS info on it. I could never pull that off. We put the IRS info at the bottom of the letter, and I think that's perfectly acceptable. But if you can, or you want to, it's just a separate letter with it enclosed as the information for tax purposes, blah, blah, blah. If you can do that, you have the time and people. That's just another touch that goes back to a donor. Okay, some other things. You should keep it to 1 page, I think. Everybody talks about the importance of a PS, that sometimes PS is the thing people read right after their name. They read the PS first. I'm not a fan of PS, but some fundraising people smarter than me say it's really an important thing. You should proofread, make sure you didn't misspell anybody's name, any of that. Make the font big enough. Remember, your donors are my age. They're 70 and 65, 70 and older, the vast majority of them. And if they can't read the letter, the font is so small because you're trying to put so much on 1 page, then you're not getting your message across. So make sure it's big enough that people can see it. And also pay attention to your online acknowledgments. You know, there's only so much you can do when people give a gift online. You don't have a lot of space. But whatever you write there should be warm and grateful and all the things that we've talked about so that people know they've made a connection with you. And then, as I said, even if somebody sends a gift online and gets an immediate acknowledgement for that online gift, they should also get a paper thank you. The next thing is to know the gift journey. Yeah. Where does the mail run around your organization? I think most of you are in small shops, so probably you're getting the mail, you're sorting the mail, you're opening the mail. So you're kind of a one-person stop for that. But in little bigger organizations, if you have somebody who gets the mail, the finance director is over here, you're over here. An acknowledgement can travel around for days. A gift before it gets to you. And I hope you have a really serious finance person. Every kind of artsy development person like me needs somebody who says, "Oh, there's no money in the checking account." You want those people to be attentive. But they are also usually people who want to get the check and put it in the mail today. In the bank today, and they say things like, we need to draw interest on it. It's $25. How much interest are you going to get in a day on $25? And so I instituted a little thing at hospice called Thank Before You Bank. So anything that looked remotely like a donation envelope, or an envelope that might contain a donation, came to us first. We entered it into Donor Perfect. We created the thank yous, signed the thank yous, and then once a week we piled up all those checks and gave them to accounting, and we reconciled with accounting. Because that's the only way we could make sure that those thank yous went out in a timely way. Does that make sense? And it took a while to get everybody on board, to make sure that we thanked people in a timely way, got our thing done with our software, and then we still had to reconcile with accounting, but that way we could get the thank yous out the door. And then the final thing is to create a culture of gratitude. That's a whole other subject for another day and a long one. But to me, the verdict is out on whether you can create a grateful heart in someone who doesn't have one. I don't know if you can do that, but I do think we can create a culture of gratitude in our organization in which everyone is so appreciative and touched by the support that we receive from our friends and donors. When I worked at PATH, we had a great social worker. She was wonderful with our clients, but she was not warm and fuzzy, and she was very matter of fact. But she was tremendous in her role. And I was coming down the hall one day, and I heard her by the back door, and I heard the honey in her voice. "Oh, Miss Smith, thank you for bringing us these canned goods. You come every month and bring us 6 or 12 cans of beans, and we appreciate it so much, and I just can't say thank you enough." I held back because I thought, I didn't want her to see me, and I didn't want to insert myself in her thank you that she was giving this little lady. But after the lady left, I walked up to her and I said, "Whoa, what was that?" And she said, "Well, I've heard you do it a million times, and I thought that's what we need to do." So I think you can model gratitude, and help people learn how to do it, even if it's not totally from their hearts. Over time, our team at Hospice was successful in creating a culture of gratitude, and we did, and it took everybody to do it, from making sure the person who answered the phone said, "Thank you for calling the Hospice of East Texas." That was the way they answered the phone. We framed patient thank yous and put them in all the meeting rooms and the hallways and places where people gathered so they could see the thank yous. And one of the volunteers told me one day, she said, "I come here every Tuesday, and every Tuesday at least 5 people say to me, 'Thank you for being here.'" And so if you create that kind of culture of gratitude, then thanking your donors becomes a natural part of that. And go ahead. Just do it now. Mikey says, just do it. Don't wait for it to be perfection. Just get a plan and start thinking through all the steps you could do to thank donors in the way they want to thank. I visited with a nonprofit this last week, and over time, this falls into the area of stewardship, not that immediate thank you, but they had added a springtime thank you for their donors, where they took little plants. They would get geraniums when they first came out and take them to all their major donors. But then she said, "I was so sick of those geraniums, and it was a pain. We had to water them, and we couldn't find people at home. We didn't want to leave it on their doorstep. But so they created a spring donor appreciation event where they invited their donors to come to their office just for something, informal, and hear about their work. So just be careful when you start, because then you have to keep it up. At Hospice, we did, don't Pecos cantaloupe when they come out around the 4th of July. Oh my God, they're so good. And there was a little fruit stand, vegetable stand near Hospice, and we would go when they first came out and get Pecos cantaloupe, cut them up, put them in little Tupperware things, and deliver them to people. Well, guess what? One year, for some reason, we were worn out. I don't know. We said, we're not going to do that this year. And we got a call, "Where's my cantaloupe?" So, it's wonderful to layer in all these ways to say thank you, but just, make sure it's sincere and make sure that you can commit to do it. And then, go ahead, do it, and then do it again. It just takes patience and consistency and commitment to the long haul. I do think it's possible. I'm not sure it's possible to overthink, but I think people think we overthink when our thank yous don't feel sincere. When they feel sort of shallow and icky. When we go on and on too much about things. And the answer to me is in the simplicity of sincerity. When we're just genuinely, sincerely grateful to people, no matter what we do, I think they appreciate it. So East Texas Giving Day is coming up. On any given day, you don't know that you're going to get a gift, or 10 or 20 in the mail, but on that day, the theory is, you're going to get gifts, right? So have you thought about how you're going to thank people that day? Robin, You're nodding.
I was yawning to see that. No, I'm gonna bring in board members to write personal, kind of, I love the dashboard, I love that we know it's coming in, and some people I'll probably call personally and think, so, yeah.
It's a great way to involve board members.
And that is on top of the official written thing.
Right, right. Yeah. Anybody else have a plan for that day? You're working on a plan?
Have somebody who knows how to write. Our president is a great guy. Sometimes you can't read every word.
Oh, yeah. Their penmanship, yeah. They have to be able to read it, absolutely. Yes.
Aside from the handwritten notes that we do, last year I did a thing which goes back to what you said, that now I have to do it.
Right.
Because I started it.
You started it, yeah.
I thought, well, every time someone would donate, I would post immediately online, thank you so-and-so for your donation, I didn't put the amount. I said, thank you so much for your donation, blah, blah, and I would post their name and everything, and they loved it. They would share it on their page, and I would include on there like a link, so they could share it, and it would be other people that would be visible to the link. It was great, but now that I started that, now I have to do
Yes.
every one of those and keep
That's
up
right.
with those.
That's
So,
right.
it's like keeping busy and editing and posting and sharing, so it was fun.
That's great. That's a great idea. Yes.
As a nonprofit arts organization, we'll actually have our event this year take place in our new nonprofit art gallery. So last year we had it at the Rose Garden, got to highlight the Rose Garden and the art there and invite people in for snacks. This year it'll take place in the new gallery.
That's great, and you can highlight that. You can post a little video, here we are in the new gallery. Yeah, that's great. It's a wonderful idea. Anybody? Yes?
We send videos, so, and we'll do it again, Nancy knows this, I'll go out to our different campuses, like a couple days before, we get videos of the kids saying, thank you for giving all these next Thanksgiving Day, and I just like, as the gifts are coming in, because they put their phone number and email or something.
And you already have the videos done.
Already had videos up.
See, isn't that really? And then you just send them out.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
love it, because they're like, oh, that was my granddaddy.
That's what's so wonderful now about social media and the ability to use all those tools. You can get feels immediate. Yeah, that's great. Yes? Yes, ma'am.
Doing the same thing with videos, and it'll just be a thank you from the donkey, because everybody loves our donkey.
Tell me what nonprofit you're with the
Starbright.
Oh, with Starbright. Okay, great. Great.
So we just will have the same thing, pre-made videos, but personalize it for that individual.
Personally, for that day, that's a great thing to do. And you got it all planned, so that day, you're ready to roll right off the bat when you hit the office early in the morning, and you can start thanking people. Wonderful. Any other comments or questions for me? I think I've used up my
No,
time.
you're good. I have a question about, you were talking about having your software help you, right? So that's, automation. And I guess that's whenever your handwritten letters were on the bigger gifts, is that what or were they supplemental? I couldn't remember what you said there.
No, well, we would write notes on the paper. But if it was a bigger gift, then they would get a handwritten note from somebody else, probably. If the first letter came from me, then the second one would come from the executive director, or maybe the board chair, or whatever. A lot of nonprofits take time before board meetings to hand boards lists of people to thank. And not every board member is comfortable doing that. I mean, some of them don't mind. It's easier to write a note than it is to make a phone call. People are uncomfortable making a phone call, but I don't know if you've ever gotten a phone call from a nonprofit and they just leave a message. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to have a phone conversation, but if you do, but for the board members that did that and actually had a conversation with a donor, it really meant a lot to them. But it kind of takes, not every board member is outgoing enough and comfortable enough to do that. I made a mistake one time of saying, okay, at the board meeting, here's your packet, here's your packet, here's your packet. To all of them to make phone calls. Well, about half of them came back. Like, I'm not making a phone call. Okay, they just didn't feel comfortable, and it was naive of me to assume that they were. I should have asked them who wants to make phone calls to donors. And some of them would have said yes, and some said no. But I wasn't that smart. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do, like, I agree, donors really like to be thanked. But what do you do with donors when you talked about, their wishes? So if they say, don't write, don't send anything, how do you thank a donor like that?
You know, that's an important point, because we all have donors, generous donors who don't want to be thanked. And we have the donor who gives you $25 and wants their name in 3-foot letters on the side of the building, you know. So you have to know them, as you said, and you know that that person doesn't really want to be thanked. Just send them that standard acknowledgement, and then when you see them, just say, a sincere, I hope you know how much we appreciate you, that kind of thing. So, because you want to respect their wishes. Yes, sir.
So I had a tricky one last year. I just want your read on it. It was an anonymous donor who wanted no recognition whatsoever, right? Like, don't call them to say thank you. I mean, I had to end up thanking them like indirectly through someone else who was on an event committee that got them. But, I mean, how do you thank an anonymous donor?
With every donor, you follow their wishes. And I think you did exactly. And then you need to make sure that you put in the software, this donor wants to be anonymous, do not call, do not thank, whatever you have. Do not put on a donor list.
Stare directly at them.
Pretend you don't know who they are. Yeah. But I think you just have to respect that.
Okay, so like a verbal secondhand thank you sometimes is okay.
That's fine. I had a little donor at hospice who lived in another community close to Tyler, and I actually only ever met her once, and she was a very generous donor, and she has a very generous gift to hospice in her estate. And the best I could ever do was I could call her. She would talk to me on the phone for a little while, and I would drop flowers at her door. And sometimes she would call me and thank me, and I would just, we appreciate you, that kind of thing, but that was it. She didn't want, and that was just her personality, and it just, I could hardly stand it. I wanted to go to lunch, but that's what she wanted. So it's important that you respect them,
I had one very similar, and I used the opportunity. I made a phone call, and I just said, I just want to confirm and affirm that this is your wishes, and I just wanted, to make sure. And that ended up being almost a 30-40-minute phone call about our programs and how this happened. So I just affirmed their wishes without officially saying thank you, and it worked. So it's an anonymous.
Yeah.
I have an anonymous match this year with Gimme. I know. I want that name out there.
You can hardly stand it, yes. Anything else? Well, I wish you all success on Giving Day. It's an exciting day, a fun day. I hope you make it fun around your office, to do some things with your staff and with your board if you can, to watch that leaderboard and see how you're doing. And you can, they're going to talk about that later today, all the ways you can engage your friends and supporters in an exciting day for all of East Texas. So thank you all.
This is Miss Krista. Krista works at KETK and Fox 51 here in Tyler. That's our local NBC affiliate. I think I've worked with you for how long?
2018 was my first one.
Okay, so many a moon. So you're like 8 years with me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, short
Keep
straw.
going.
Okay, so Krista has a profound love for this sector. She has been the most generous and giving network that we've worked with because she fundamentally believes in what you guys are doing to help our community. Her heart is in it, and she has, like I said, given above and beyond of time and been our advocate at the network for us to get all of the goodies that we get from them. So, I mean, she's got a big spot in my heart. Let me read all your goods here. Okay. She's a native of East Texas, graduating from Brook Hill High School in 2012. After high school graduation, went to Dallas Baptist University with a bachelor's in broadcast communications and started at the station a few weeks later. She's a dog mom, so she's got a soft spot for little four-legged people. She rescued them from SPCA here in Tyler. And let's see, what else you got on here? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna turn this over to you because you're awesome and I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Well, hello, friends. How we doing? Before we get started, I want to know who in the room that this is their very first giving day that you've participated in. Awesome, a good show of hands. Okay, if you raise your hand, come see me before the day is over. Once I get done speaking, during lunch, whatever, I'll be here for a little while after. But if you have not, if this is not your first giving day, that is okay. You can still come see me too. I'd love to talk to you. Probably you've heard me over the phone and I've never met you in person, so if you'd like to come say hello, would love to actually meet you in person. But if you're not new, this is your not first giving day, and you probably heard my speech last year, I'm so sorry, you're probably going to hear a lot of the same things. But I encourage you to find something new, and if not, just look forward to lunch, because who doesn't want food, right? And if it is your first, or even if it's not, I would encourage you to be brave, and after this, schedule an interview, because that's how the media works. We love it. So let me tell you a little bit about me. Holly went over a little bit of my background, but like she said, I do have a very, very big heart for nonprofits here in East Texas. I have served for a lot of them. I currently serve in the Junior League of Tyler. This is my 4th active year. And so I have a huge, huge heart for what y'all do, whether you're from Tyler, you're from Bowie County, wherever you're from. I saw the list, so I know there's a couple of y'all here, which I was really excited about because I put y'all on my speech. So that's just super exciting. I have done pretty much every single job at KTK, and one of the things that I really, really love, one of the things that I really, really love is getting to work with nonprofits, not just for East Texas Giving Day, but also all year round. This year on our midday show, we started on Tuesdays. We do a nonprofit spotlight. So once we get out of the month of April, we will ramp that back up again, because right now it's all Giving Day all the time. Before I go to my next slide, I said this number last year, so if you were in the room, I want to see if any of y'all remember. Do you know how many counties that I am responsible for on a daily basis that I have to cover? Any guesses?
28.
Okay, someone listened, or I've talked to you before and I've told you this 19 times. That is the correct answer. I am responsible for 28 counties on a daily basis. That means I'm a really busy person. I also try, maybe not successfully, to have a life outside of my job at the station. Doesn't always work very well, but what I take very seriously is not only preparing y'all for East Texas Giving Day, but also for all year round, because my job is all year round, so is yours, and you have stories that are going to come up, or events or whatever that you would probably like us to cover. So, that being said, I promise, if you are texting me, if you are calling me, if you are emailing me, and I have not gotten back to you, I promise you I am not ignoring you. I have a lot going on. And even, state and national and everything, international news happens. So if I'm not responding to you yet, I am so sorry. I will get there. I read every single text message. I read every single email. I listen to every single phone call that I get. I will eventually respond to you. Just be patient with me, okay? But also, and I'll say this again later when we talk about interviews and media advisories and everything, but please do not call me or text me the morning of, hey, I have something in 30 minutes. Do you think you can be here? The answer is probably no. Does not mean that I do not care about you or your event or whatever is going on. It means we are very busy and I'm in control of a lot of counties and a lot of people, and I gotta, ringleader, put them all where they need to be. That is my job. So, how do we help you? You have a lot of needs, but so do we. We need stories to fill our newscast. And I'm not the only TV station in Tyler, so a lot of this will be very specific to KTK and Fox, but a lot of this too will be just general how to work with the media. For us, we want to be able to help you, like I said earlier, all year round, not just for East Texas Giving Day. And one of the ways that we do that is scheduling an interview. I know this sounds like the worst thing in the world. There are probably a lot of people who are like, heck no. You are not putting me in front of a camera. This is not happening ever. Working with media, I am so sorry to inform you. Probably at some point, either you or someone in your organization will need to. does not have to be scary, okay? I promise it's not the end of the world. I will give you my tip at the very end of all the different types of interviews. We'll go over here in just a second. But I promise you it's not going to be the end of the world. And if you stumble on your words, I say and a lot. I'm on TV occasionally, I fill in for people. I say and a lot, and it is okay. I can't English half the time, all right? English is hard. I understand it. The public understands it. So it is okay if you mess up, you have to stumble, you have to look at notes. I have notes that I'm looking at, so I'm not just doing this all off the cuff. Let me first start by saying about an interview, sometimes they're not necessary. Is Path in the room today? Yes, no? Okay. This is the example I used last year, but it's a really good one. A couple of years ago, they had posted on their social media pages, hey, we are in desperate need of plastic, Walmart, or wherever, bags to be able to give to our clients. And I was like, oh, great. I follow a lot of y'all on social media, and if I don't, come make sure that I'm following you on social media. Because this is a great way to get your information out to the media. They posted on there, hey, we need bags. I said, oh, great, story idea. Put it in our planner for that day. We run a really short graphic, or maybe if we have some video of the organization, we'll put that with it saying, hey, Path is looking for plastic bags for their clients. If you would like to donate, please drop them off at this location or give them a call to schedule or whatever. It's a very quick 20-second story for us, which has a profound impact on me. I was really hoping they were here so I could ask them if that super worked. But I even went and saved my bags, and I went and donated my bags. So if I can do it, you can do it too. So if I'm seeing all of that, that's something that doesn't necessarily need an interview. But for something that's maybe a little bigger, you have a capital campaign, you have a new building or something that's opening. When the Children's Advocacy Center opened their new facility in the old bank building, we went and did a tour, we went and walked through it with them, and they showed us why this is important. And then in turn, we shared that with our viewers. So let's break down the different types of interviews, because there are different types, and they're for different reasons. The most common one for E6 is Giving Day is going to be a live interview. So if I'm calling you or I'm emailing you for a live interview, that's going to be you are coming into our studio. You're going to stand in front of a screen or sit on our brand new couch that we got. Yo, it's super awesome. We've been waiting a long time for it, so I'm super pumped. But if it's a live interview, we're looking at 3 to 4 minutes tops. They have gone longer, they've gone shorter. I've had some last 2.5 minutes. I've had some that are really good speakers and really engaging. We're not going to cut you off. Some of them have gone 6.5 minutes. But typically, when we're talking about live interviews, we're talking about 3 to 4 minutes. I promise you, you can survive a 3 to 4 minute interview. Half of that is going to be the anchor introducing you and asking you questions. It's only going to be a couple of questions, and we'll go over specifically. You can write them down because these will be the ones that we will ask you if you schedule a Giving Day interview. I'll go over them step by step with you here in just a minute. The second type that we have is a recorded interview. So this is typically what you're thinking about when you think about the news. You see reporters or photographers go out or coming to your facility or your event that you're holding, something like that. That is what we're going to typically think when we think of a recorded interview. You can start and stop as many times as you want. You can say, I don't know, can we redo that? Totally fine, no big deal. If you do it in live television, cool. We're not going to start over, it's live, but that's okay. In a recorded interview, you can do that. And I do that a lot. A lot of the times people will get a number or statistic or something wrong. They're like, can I go back and can I redo that? Be like, yep, we make a note in that in our interview process, and then whomever that gets turned over to, that way they know which one to use and which one they don't. Also in a recorded interview, not everything that you say is going to be used. Typically, we're looking for a 15 to 20 second soundbite. So it's not going to be you telling me who you are, what you're doing. It's going to be more of the emotional type of soundbite. Why this impacts you, why this impacts our viewers. So that's not going to be a, tell me who you are and what your name is. We're not going to pull that soundbite, I promise. The third type we have is going to be a virtual interview. So I'm pretty sure most people in this room, I had to learn how to use Zoom during the pandemic. It was pretty awful because I'm like the most technologically illiterate millennial you have ever met. I'm still working on it. But those are Zooms. So I looked at the list that was being passed around. I know there's a couple in here that are from Bowie County, correct? Raise your hands. Yeah, thanks for making the trip, guys. I know it's a long one. You driving, what, 2.5 hours-ish? That is not feasible for you to drive 2.5 hours, come do a 3 to 4 minute interview, and then turn around and drive back 2.5 hours. If you already have to come to Tyler, awesome, we'd love to have you in the studio. That's not always feasible, and especially if you're a really smaller nonprofit, maybe it's just you and a couple of other people, that doesn't really make sense for you. So a really great option is saying, hey, can we do a Zoom interview? It's basically the same thing. It's going to work both ways. We can do it live, or we can do it recorded and play it back later on our air, or we can chop it up into sound bites. But that's a really time-efficient way to do that for you guys. That way you're not spending all of your day to come do 3 or 4 minutes on the TV station. The last one, which I always say is kind of a last resort, and it's typically not something that we do for Giving Day or a lot of nonprofits, but I want to make sure that you know it exists. I'm sure all of you have a cell phone. Or, well, God forbid, we all have landlines still. I still have a landline in my household. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But we can do a phone interview. If we ask you for a picture along with that phone interview, I promise I'm not being creepy. We just like it to look as good as we can when we put it on air and put a face with a name. Like I said earlier, I've probably talked to a lot of y'all, and I honestly don't recognize a lot of y'all's faces, but if you told me who you are and what organization you're in, I'm like, oh yeah, y'all are great, love what y'all do. So to be able to put a face with a name, that's really important for us. So if we do a phone interview, or if you're traveling, I've done it with Kyle from the Communities Foundation. He's like, I'm in a hotel room in Florida, I'm literally about to leave for the airport to get on my flight, but yeah, we can do a really quick phone interview to update you on whatever it is. It's feasible. It's not going to be my preference, and probably not a lot of other stations' preferences, but we can do that. So, what are they going to ask me? This is the number one question that I get when I call people and I say, hi, this is Krista from K2K. How are you doing today? I saw that you are on the list for East Texas Giving Day, and I would love to be able to have you all come in and sit for an interview for us for that month of April. We dedicate probably 90% of our spots on both our 11 and our 3 p.m. midday show. They're both an hour long. We dedicate that entire month and a good chunk of those interviews for you guys and for the people on the East Texas Giving Day list. But the biggest question that I get is, I can't do that. I don't know what they are going to ask me. So if you are a note taker, like I am, did my notes. Here's what they are going to ask you. And there's a little bit of a difference between a recorded or a live interview. So we'll start with the recorded interviews. I always tell people that I try and break the ice when we're doing a recorded interview, and I always tell them, I'm going to ask you my hardest question first. I need you to say and spell your first and last name for me. And you'd be surprised how much it trips people up. They're like, wait, what? That's the hardest question? Catches them off guard, it eases them a little bit. Then, the next thing we're going to ask you after we ask you to say and spell your first name, last name, is your title. Who in your organization are you? I probably know who you are and what you do, but that doesn't mean that the person that is listening to that interview and taking it for their newscast or for their online story doesn't mean that they know what you do. And so we want to make sure that we get your name spelled correctly, we get your title proper in whatever form that it's going to be chopped up. So don't take offense to it if I ask you and I've known you for 10 years. I promise there's a reason. I'm not crazy. And if you do know me and you think I'm crazy, well, probably. It's okay. After we get all of that, the second thing that we're going to ask you is, tell me a little bit about your organization. Again, so if someone else is listening to this interview and trying to break it down, they're going to have a little bit of context as for what you do. It was actually a really great example earlier. She was like, yeah, I'll send a video of the donkey saying thank you. And then they were like, wait, tell me what you do. Just because I know that you're from Starbright and you have a donkey and that's a great way to do that, doesn't mean that everybody else does. So tell me what you do. Tell me how that donkey plays into your organization and what y'all do. The third thing that we're going to ask you is going to start breaking down into story-specific questions. So that's going to be, the example that I had was Breckenridge is Breckenridge here today? Okay, no. I picked all the people that are not here today, I'm so sorry. They do a Christmas tree village, and they have for the past couple of years. So if I'm interviewing them, I will say, okay, so tell me a little bit about this Christmas tree farm that you guys are doing at your facility. Tell me why you started it. Tell me when can people come, the dates, the times, the location of it all. Then, after that, I'm going to say, okay, tell me why I care. Tell me why my viewers should come. What is this impact? What is this money that y'all are raising, whether it's for that or on East Texas Giving Day? Tell me what that money is going to go toward. Tell me how this impacts our community. Because y'all do a lot of great work on a daily basis, and I want to be able to share that. And so do all the other stations here in Tyler. One of the last things we'll ask you after that is going to be just tell me where we can find more information. So if people are looking for a website, social media pages, if y'all use your social media pages more than you do your website, great. I don't care. You use whatever works for you guys, because that looks very different for a lot of organizations. But I'm going to ask you where's the best place to find more information so we can include that in our story. And then the last thing that I typically ask, maybe not every organization or media outlet will do this, and honestly, this is probably where we get our best sound bites from, is there anything else that I did not ask you that you wanted to mention? And the number one answer that I get from this is no, but. Gold soundbite for the next 20 seconds. And I'm like, I just did 15 minutes with you and I needed the last 20 seconds. Doesn't hurt my feelings, I promise. I have to do the interview either way. But typically what I get is no, but let me tell you the greatest thing in the world. And that's typically where y'all go into it thinking, this is the one thing that I want to say. And I always want to make sure that I give you that opportunity to do that. Because that is where it comes from the heart, and that's where it makes an impact, and that's where you tell me why I should care. Okay, the live interview questions are going to be very, very similar. We're not going to open up with tell me your first and last name, spell it, and all of that. What's going to happen is either for Giving Day or a nonprofit spotlight interview, if you're coming into a station to do something like that, they're going to come back from commercial break. Welcome back to East Texas Live. Thank you very much for joining us. Joining me now is, I didn't write anybody down, such and such Holly from Pets for People, because she comes every Thursday with a cute little doggy or kitty. Welcome back to East Texas Live. Joining me now is Holly from Pets for People, and she brought such and such with her today. Hi Holly, how are you doing? Every interview is going to start out like that for the most part. And then she's going to say, I'm doing well, thanks so much for having us. We're going to say, okay, well, introduce us to Bob that you brought with you today. I always choose the weirdest names when I'm talking about animals. I should use my own, but I don't. Anyway, but tell me about your organization. Again, tell me a little bit about you if people don't know what you do or where you're from. It just kind of sets the stage, sets the scene, gets people into what we're talking about. Specifically for Giving Day, we're going to talk about what your organization is doing for that day, or raising the money for that day. So tell me a little bit about how you guys got involved with East Texas Giving Day. Tell me what the money that people are donating to you right now is going to be going toward. And a lot of y'all I've looked have done a really great job already posting that on your Giving Day pages. And that's really important for us because we want to be able to efficiently give that to the public and that way, and communicate that to the public, and that way they know what their dollars are going toward. And they know they want to feel like they are making a difference, just like you guys are, and you need their help, so we want to be able to communicate that effectively to them. Another thing that we're going to ask you is, what are your biggest needs? So at the end of every interview with Holly, we say, okay, well, what do y'all need right now? Do you need donations of food? Do you need donations of blankets or hay when it's cold? Okay, The next question that, if we have time, some of those are, it's a producer's job to make sure that we're all staying on time. Some people like to talk a little more than others, and that's okay. It's our job to figure that out. But if there is enough time, we're going to ask you, okay, if there is someone who cannot donate financially, and this is actually one of my favorite questions that I get to ask because it opens up a lot more opportunities for people who feel like they can't donate financially, or maybe they can only donate $10 or $20, $25, and they feel like that doesn't really make a difference. I would be willing to say that one, it does. But two, how can they help you if they cannot donate to you financially? One of the things I love on the Giving Day page this year that I've seen is there are volunteer opportunity tabs where they can share their information with you guys. But I think that that's really important because a lot of things, or one thing that a lot of nonprofits struggle with is getting those volunteers and being able to have those for your organization. So if there's an opportunity there and you're able to share that with people, I think that's a really great tool to bring them in, and then maybe that leads to a bigger donation on the back end through them or through someone else. The last thing we're going to ask you is, again, where's the best place to find more information about you guys? Whether that's a website, whether that's a Facebook page. At the very end, our anchor always says, for more information, go to the website right there on your screen. And then we scroll the website. This is how TV works. It's the magic of TV. But those are the specific questions. We're not here to trip you up. We're not trying to catch you. Not everything is like an investigation, 60 minutes type, sit down and I'm going to badger you with my intense questions. My best tip that I give people when they come in, especially if it's their very first time in an interview, is doing an interview is like having a conversation with your best friend. You know your organization inside and out. I probably do know what you do, but other people do not. You are the expert on your organization and they are not. So we need you to be able to explain to the anchor and or to the viewers what y'all do and why it's important. So imagine it's like having a conversation with your best friend or with your grandma. You're sitting down and you're super excited and you're telling them everything that you do. Don't think about the camera that's sitting right next to you. I know that's really intimidating and it doesn't bother me. And everyone's like, yeah, but there's a huge camera right there. It's not the end of the world, I promise. You will not die. It will be okay. But what all of this boils down to, and a lot of this comes to Giving Day, is tell me why. Tell me why, out of the 215 organizations, as of 10 o'clock last night when I was looking at the list, tell me why, out of the 215 that are on the list, a donor should choose you. And that's the question that I want you to, when you send whoever it is from your organization doing an interview, I want them to be able to answer that question. I wrote it down 10:02 p.m. last night. That's when I was finishing my speech. Y'all won't judge me, okay? I need y'all to tell me why. Why should they donate to you? Why should I care? And why should I care as the media to be able to get your story out to get you more donors? So let me give you an example of my why that I got into TV. If Holly probably knows, Holly's not in the room. Holly knows this man. His name is Coach Timothy Moore. I went to Brook Hill, and he was one of my coaches in high school that I had. He coached football, and high school was not the greatest time in the world for probably a lot of us, middle school, high school. I would go into his office every single morning, and I would sit there and I would tell him about all my problems, all my home life, my family, all the drama, all my friends, whatever was going on at school. I would sit in there and I would tell him everything that was going on. And he'd say, okay, are you done now? Would you like to learn some football? I said, sure, Coach Moore. So I didn't have either grandfather growing up, and this man became very, very much like my grandfather. And so I would sit there and he gave me my love for sports like nobody ever has. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I know, I'm sorry if there are any other fans in here. And it's the saddest thing in the world to be super proud Cowboys fan because it really sucks right now. That's okay. I'm not over it, and that's all right. But he gave me my love for sports, so much so that I looked him in the eye at 14 years old and I said, I want to go into television. and I want to be a sports reporter, and I want to be a sideline announcer for the NFL. And he said, okay. And I told my parents the same thing. At 14 years old, I said, I want to go into television. I want to be a sports reporter. I want to be a sideline announcer for the NFL. They said, okay, good luck with that. Let us know how that goes for you. I love my parents, they're great, they're supportive. They've helped me accomplish every dream I've ever wanted to. So sorry. But the reason that I tell you all of this is 10 years later, I'm getting ready to celebrate my 10-year anniversary at KTK. I also think it's really cool that East Texas Giving Day is also celebrating their 10-year anniversary this year. But all of that to say, I got to see him this last football season, 2 football seasons ago, and I got to tell him, hey, Coach Moore, you know that dream that I told you about when I was 14 years old, and that you gave me my love for sports and my love for football? Well, guess what? Not only do I get to record highlights and everything on the sidelines this year, I get to be on TV this year for football. I get to live out my 14-year-old Krista dream. And he said, I'm so proud of you. And I said, well, thank you. Thank you for helping me achieve my dream and helping push me along the way. So every single day when I come into work, I brought it with me this year, I forgot it last year. But I have this picture sitting on my desk. It's moved desk to desk with me, it's moved every single position with me, but I have this on my desk as a reminder every single day of the reason why I got into television. So when there are hard days and when it's not fun, and I'm sitting at my desk crying, and believe me, there are plenty of them, this is my why, and this is my reason. And I want you to be able to communicate that to our viewers and to your donors. So, part of the way you get us involved to tell your why is media releases and press releases and media advisories. There is a difference. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. If you want to know more, I can sit down with you. I can show you good examples, and I can show you some really bad examples, because there are plenty of them, let me assure you. One of the people, is the food bank in the room today? No, okay, 0 for 3 today. All right, the food bank does a tremendous job at sending great press releases and great media advisories. The basic 5 things that I need from you sounds really dumb and really simple, but you would be surprised at how many people do not include all of this information. Who, what, when, where, and why. Please tell me what your organization is and who is going to be able to be there that I can speak with. What, tell me what event is going on, whether it's a ribbon cutting or a new facility opening, or it's going to be your annual fundraiser. Tell me what it is. When is it going to be? What time, date, all of that. Where, obviously, is it going to be at your location? Sometimes the food bank does stuff not at their facility. Where are we going to be when we do this event? And again, why? I think I've covered plenty of that, but tell me why I need to be there. So that's more going to be a media advisory. And I say a good rule of thumb, I get a lot of questions about this. Well, how early should I send you my information? I will be really honest, for me, you cannot send it early enough. If you send me right now, I've got an event for 2026, I will put it in our plan for 2026. General rule of thumb, I tell people about 2 weeks to a month in advance, just in general, when working with the media. That gives us enough time to make sure that we have it in a planner, we have it on that day. But again, there are 28 counties that we're responsible for. There's a lot going on. So just because I can't make it to your event, and just because you send it to me in a month in advance doesn't guarantee that I'm going to be there, but it gives you a lot better chances, because if you sent it to me ahead of time and I know what it is, and I think it's a really great story, it gives you a lot more leeway that we're going to be there. But I also need you to assume that if we are coming to your story, I need someone to talk. I can do a million stories in a day in a newscast, but I can't have my anchors reading back stories. Just like a lot of y'all probably don't want to sit up here and talk for an hour straight. Neither do they if they're doing an hour-long newscast. They want to be able to sit here for 20 seconds and take a break while I listen to you talk for 20 seconds. So if I'm coming to an event, I need you to assume that I need someone to interview. Again, it's not going to be super long. Some of them are going to be less than 5 minutes. most of them are going to be 5 to 10 minutes, is what I say. If it needs to be done before time or ahead of time, I would also let the media know that. So if you're doing interviews, if the event starts at 3, but you want the media there at 2:45 to do interviews, please specify that. Because if I think 3 and I'm planning out where one of my photographers is going, they might have 4 stories to shoot that day. And if you need them at 2:45, but they're coming from another event an hour away, I need to know to be able to adjust their schedule. So just give us a heads up on that. Or on the back side of that, if it's a press conference type of event and they need to do the media interviews afterwards, please denote that when you're sending us that information. If you send us a media advisory, great, and it's all pretty and laid out. It can be as simple as an email. Hi, my name is such and such from whatever organization. We are doing this event at this time, at this date, and here's why I think you should be there. It can be as simple as an email. It doesn't have to be a pretty fancy, laid out media advisory. The difference, media advisory versus a press release, media advisory is, hey, I would really like you to come to this event. Here's all the information that you need to know. A press release is going to be, hey, there was this event, this is what we did. Hey, maybe here are some pictures because I saw that you weren't able to make it. Here's some video that we did. You don't include pictures and video? That's totally okay, as long as I have the information. Maybe you posted the pictures on your social media, which we'll get to here in a second. How am I doing on time? I don't know what time it is.
37.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome. So if you send me a press release, it's going to be, hey, this is all of the information. This is what happened today. There's probably going to be some quotes in there from either the speech that an executive director or your CEO or someone. Include that in there because we'd love to be able to include that in our online story as well. A lot of those stories that we do are not just for air in a newscast. They're also going to go on digital, which allows y'all to also share them and gain some more traction that way, getting it out to maybe people who don't watch news, because I'll be really honest, when I go home, I don't sit there and watch the news. It's the last thing that I want to do. And that's what I hear from a lot of people my age. But a lot of people my age are looking on social media, are looking online for their news outlets. So if they didn't see it actually on TV, but we clip that interview and we put it in there, or we clip that story, even if there's not video in there and we put your story online, it makes it very easily shareable for you guys. And that's just another avenue to get your organization out there and hopefully get some donors that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. So speaking of social media, like I said earlier, if I cannot be there, I promise you that I am not ignoring you. I promise that I don't not care about your organization. There's just a lot going on. So sometimes if you call me and you say, hey, are you going to be able to come to this event? I'll be like, look, I'm really sorry. I've got this going on. Also keep in mind, this is the example, and y'all please don't judge me when I tell you this, but this is the example that we have in the newsroom is I'm going to come to your event unless Delic blows up. I know that's very dramatic. But that's the example that we give, is if Delic blows up, everything stops. Everybody is going to Delic. When, a couple of years ago, when Greenberg, their facility caught on fire, everything stopped that night. Everyone diverted to that story. While y'all are very important, y'all do a lot of great work in the community, when something like that happens, I have to direct my resources there. In that instance, I still want to be able to share your story. I still want to be able to get your information out to the public, but I'm guaranteed, because I see a lot of them on the tables, everyone in here has a cell phone or knows someone that does. It is just as easy for you to capture pictures in an event as it is for me to capture video and or pictures at an event. So if you notice that we're not there, and specifically if you sent it to us and you're like, man, I really wish they could have been here, maybe you talked to us and we explained why we couldn't be there, snap a couple of photos, snap a couple of videos, send them in to us and say, hey, we realized that you weren't there today, we still want to make sure that you have this information, you have these pictures. That's a great way for us to have an easy story, but also to still help you guys out and get that information out to the public, especially around East Texas Giving Day time. Some of the people that they say, I really, really, really don't want to do an interview. that's fine. Specifically for Giving Day, our 11 a.m. and our 3 p.m. show, we dedicate those entire hours to nothing but Giving Day. Kyle from the Queens Foundation will come in and he will sit with us. He becomes like our third anchor that day. And we sit there and talk about all the organizations that are on that list. I did a tally last year. If anyone was here, I had a very, very lofty goal last year. I really wanted to work with 100 different organizations, and I'm happy to report, I counted last night, total was like 126 that we got to either do stories with or have in for live interviews. But all of that to say, we have, I haven't set a number, I should probably do that. But I haven't set a specific goal for this year. But my goal is to always help you guys out, whether it's on East Texas Giving Day or into the future. If you can post information on your social media with pictures and or video, with a blurb about what's going on, maybe even a quote from that day. It's very easy for us to take that information as well and still be able to share it out. If you're coming specifically for a Giving Day interview, if you have photos and we've never been to an event of yours, a lot of organizations we have. But if we haven't and you have pictures and videos from another event that you've done that you want us to be able to use, send those to us. Send us those ahead of time. That's our job, is to make sure that you guys look the best that y'all can when y'all come in, do the interviews, but also give something for the viewers to look at, because they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so if I can have both you talking and pictures, works out even better. On this next slide, I'm going to give you my personal cell phone number. If you would like to schedule an interview, again, please be patient as I respond to you, because if everyone in this room texts me all at once, I'm not going to be able to respond in a super timely fashion. I will get to you, I promise. This is my personal cell phone number. It is also my work email address. If you would like to schedule an interview, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to sit over in the corner. If you'd like to come talk to me during lunch, we can do it kind of speed dating style. If you were here last year, it was like one person would sit down and be like, "Hi, I'm from such and such. I'd like to do this date at this time." "Okay, very nice to meet you. I'll email you later." Gets up, another person sits down. "Hi, I'm from such and such." So we'll do it speed dating style. If you just want to come grab a card from me, I also have that. And you can just email me whenever it's convenient for you guys, or shoot me a text. If you are going to shoot me a text, I would greatly appreciate it. You don't just say, "Hey girl, I'd love to schedule an interview." Please tell me who you are. I probably have some of you, but probably not all of you. So hey, my name is Holly from Pets for People, and I'd like to schedule an interview this date, this time, or what do you have available? Just let me know who you are. That way, when I'm going back through the 90,000 of these, I'm not going crazy trying to figure out who you are. And I wanted to make sure that I left enough time for questions at the end, because I feel like I covered a lot of information, and I know that was a little overwhelming. Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk a bit, again, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I enjoy our time. Talk a bit about like what to wear if you're gonna be interviewed in front of the camera.
Yeah. Just in general, you're not going to be on a green screen. So when we think about coming to work, this is what I would typically wear if I was doing anchor. This is how, if you walked into the studio and you're doing an interview with me for a show, this is how I'm going to look. I've had people come in like basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I kind of give the general rule of thumb as Sunday best. So if you go to church in jeans and a nice shirt, awesome. If you go head to toe, like heels, makeup, whole 9 yards, also awesome. Most of y'all, I'm not looking at anyone that I'd be like, probably shouldn't wear that to an interview. As far as colors, it doesn't really matter. If you have something that's like branded, either a hat or a t-shirt with your logo on it or something, it's just as far as brand recognition, might do a little better for people remembering. But I just say kind of general rule of thumb, Sunday best. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned 126 mentions that day. How did you do that? Like, was it a combination of things, or how did you do that?
Yeah, let me pull it up because I actually did write it down. And I broke it all down. So during the month of April, for both shows, we have an 11 a.m. and we have a 3 p.m. They're both lifestyle shows, very similar formats. They're just at different times. But we dedicate about 90% of our interview slots that we have during the month of April to Giving Day organizations. So on the 11 last year, we did 61 live interviews. On the 3 p.m., we did 30 live interviews. And then we have, I choose about 5 or 6 organizations, just depending on the time every year, to come and join us on Giving Day. If I don't call you for Giving Day, please don't get your feelings hurt. I really do. I love every single one of y'all and the work that y'all do. Typically, how I choose those are who has not participated in Giving Day before. Maybe they're a little bit smaller of an organization. The food bank doesn't need as much of my help as a smaller nonprofit in a really rural county does. Doesn't mean that I don't care about the food bank, doesn't mean that I'm not going to cover their stories. Hello. If they send them to me, I'm going to treat them the exact same, but when it comes to actual Giving Day and interviews, I want to be able to best serve all of our counties that I can. I go through and I make sure that I have at least one organization from every single county that's on the list. I really do try and do my due diligence as far as spreading the love and the wealth around to everyone. And then throughout the month of April, we did almost 20 stories, whether that be what we call a VO, which is just video, of OSOT, which is a little bit of video and a soundbite, or an entire package. And one of the ones that David went out and did last year was some alumni association. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was able to go out there. They were fundraising for a building for their organization. And they came back and told us, thank you so much for coming out here and doing this story. We were able to raise enough of the money that we wanted, and I don't think that we would have been able to do that without you guys' help getting this story out, because we're a really small organization, and we don't get the looks that the food bank gives, or some of our other bigger nonprofits. We want to be able to make sure that we help every single one of you guys, whether y'all are super big or super small. Any other questions? Last year, I feel like there was a really interesting and I didn't have time. Drafting emails for action. I think this one's super exciting because I send a lot of emails as well. But surely some of you have received some of them. And I always think, am I doing this right? And I'll be honest, you can get in the weeds in an email really fast, and so I'm happy to have some professionals tell me how to actually do what I'm doing. Okay, so Kenny has worked in the nonprofit sector for over a dozen years, and has, I'm just too old. I have to take these glasses off. Let's see. Okay. He's worn many hats as a fundraiser, as a strategist, as a relationship manager, board trainer, data specialist, la 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 la. He's amazing. Okay. Before starting his business, Kenny served as the senior consultant for a nonprofit management firm. He was the development director for PAVE East Texas and the executive director of advanced services at UT Tyler Health Science Center. I bet the business card was a business 11 by 17. Okay. Anyway, so he has worked with on the board of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, which is our local AFP chapter, and the East Texas National Philanthropy Day Luncheon Committee. So Kenny is I'm a fan favorite, and so I love him to death, and I'm happy that he has volunteered his services 2 years in a row to come speak to us. So thank you, Kenny.
All right, how are we doing? Had a good morning? Good lunch? How was lunch? Really good? All right, do we need to get up and move around before we dive into it? Do we need to have like a dance party, get up and move around? I saw someone, yeah, he said yes. All right, so everybody stand up. Let's get our bodies moving a little bit.
30 seconds.
It makes it feel awkward. So, all right, we're going to be talking about email right after lunch, and so this can kind of get a little, but we're not going to make it boring. So, all right, so move around. Are we good? Are we ready to start? All right, everyone can sit down. Simon says sit down. That would be a fun game. We're going to do Simon says. Holly, make it over next year. Simon says. All right. So you've heard the introduction, so you know a little bit of who I am. Worked in nonprofits for a long time, worn all the hats, like Holly said, from copywriting to email marketing to social media to IT. When the copier breaks, I've been the person to fix it. When people have drama at work as fundraisers, we're the people that they come to when they don't want to go to the executive director. They go to the development director, right? So all the things, and I've written a few emails. I've written more than one email. I wish I could quantify how many emails at this time that I've sent out, not only as a consultant, but as a fundraising professional. Now, with our clients, we do a lot of email marketing, so we've sent out a lot of emails, and we've learned a thing or two about how to write engaging and effective emails. So what I want to share with you all today are 20 tips that I've picked up along the way that really help you craft better, more effective emails, regardless of what platform you're using, which we'll talk about later on, that will really help. So let's just begin with the basics of, okay, what is email marketing? Now, you might hear that term when it comes to businesses, and in the for-profit sector, it can kind of be confusing when you think about email marketing for nonprofits. You might be thinking, well, I'm not selling anything. I don't have promotions. I don't have all these things that businesses have. So when I think about email marketing, I kind of have a hard time understanding what that means for nonprofits. So what we're talking about when we say email marketing, we're really talking about how to use email to communicate or have conversations with your target audiences. And when we talk about target audiences for nonprofits, we're talking about donors, volunteers, monthly donors, major donors, prospects, and etc. So this is a very valuable tool for you to communicate with those audiences. And I put conversations with that because just like with anything else, whether it's a physical letter that you're sending out or on social media, like email, we want it to be conversational. And we don't want it to be a one-way conversation. We just don't want to talk at our audiences. We want it to be engaging. We want them to want to read our stuff. And we want to use it as an opportunity to hear back from our donors. And so that's why I say it's a conversation, because we want them to engage, we want to learn what they like, and we want to be able to follow up with those details. Now, why are we talking about email with regards to East Texas Giving Day? You're going to hear, like Holly and I were talking about, a lot of it happens on social media, right? That's where a lot of people are focused on. And even in your nonprofit world, when you're thinking about your annual fund campaign, or whatever campaign you're working on, a lot of people, the first place they go to is social media. We gotta crank out all these social media posts. We have to be on Facebook. We have to be on Instagram. It's like all these things. And while that is important, what I found is most people just leapfrog right over email. They put all their eggs in the social media basket. And while social media has its place, email is one of your most valuable tools that you should not ignore. And we'll go through some statistics on that. But with regards to East Texas Giving Day, I've heard the Communities Foundation talk about how a little over 30% of donors give to a nonprofit for the first time on Giving Day. That's a remarkable statistic. There's a great opportunity to attract new donors to your nonprofit. What that also means is that about 70% of the donors that you get on East Texas Giving Day are in your database. And the lifespan of a post on Facebook, for example, is a day, maybe less. You miss it in that first few hours that it's posted, you miss it, it's gone. And it's never coming back. Email has a longer lifespan. So when we're talking about, if you think about this, close to 70% of donors that you're going to get on Giving Day, are already in your database, that's where email has a much more personalized touch than something on social media. It's a great way for you to provide updates. You're going to crank out a lot of social media content, and there's going to be a flood of that on people's Facebook feeds. There's just going to be less of that through email, because chances are there's not as much overlap on email as there is on social media, and it's one of your best stewardship tools after East Texas Giving Day. The opportunity not to just splash something on Facebook and say, hey, thank you to all our donors, but the opportunity to get in their inbox and say thank you, first name, for your gift on East Texas Giving Day, and here's the impact that'll have. Very unique, much more personalized than you can do in email than in social media. So that's why we want to spend some time today talking about email and East Texas Giving Day, because it is something that people tend to leapfrog over because social media is the shiny toy, and it has longer legs than just Giving Day. All right. So how do you feel about email marketing? So this is part of the conversation, two-way. So when we talk about email marketing for your nonprofit, what are some of the feelings that immediately come up?
Most of them that I get, delete, 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 delete.
Most of them I get delete, delete, delete. Why is that?
Anytime I hear from them, I've looked at something, and I'm done looking, and it's just time to get rid of it.
Time to get rid of it. All right. We're going to touch on a little bit of that. So how do you feel about email marketing? Someone from this side of the room. Does it bring you joy? Like you're like, oh, I just love email marketing. Does it stress you out? Is it time consuming? I love it. All right, so we have someone that loves it.
A lot of our members, we don't have their email addresses because they still send paper checks in the mail.
Yep, so collecting email addresses is an important part. That's right.
One of the reasons why I don't have emails, to him, I do have a tendency to delete is because I'm inundated. Like they're continuing to send me something like, I've already done this, I don't want to keep hearing from you.
Yeah.
So if I get one or two, that's fine, but if I'm going to continuously get an email from somebody, I'm not even going to open it. It's just going to be blown.
Yeah, too many emails. I'm getting too many. They're just coming through. I'm not seeing anything that's not personalized. I've already given. Done.
I don't think so. For email marketing, I think in nonprofit, it's also a great way to gauge how engaged a donor is. Those that are responding back to your emails, saying thank you for sharing this story, or oh, I graduated from that school, or oh, I knew this person, or what. That is a great opportunity. I feel like that opens up that conversation in different ways than social media or anything else. And so, to me, I feel like we've been able to utilize it. I've seen that happen in a lot of organizations where they can really kind of expand on and really capture those that are, because we are all communicated with emails, but the ones that take time to read it, respond back, or interact with the email, that right there is one that you can go up and just really see, because this could become your next volunteer, your next board member, your next like big donor that you didn't even realize, or whatever that need is, because they engage with you a lot more than just a click of a heart or a thumbs up.
Yeah. One of the reasons you love email is because you're more likely to get a response. Someone's more likely to reply to that email than they are if they see something on social media. They might like it, but you don't get anything more than that. So you might hear, oh, I love this. I went to school there. There's a lot more there. Any other feelings about social media? How are you feeling? Not social media, email marketing. I like that you can set it aside until you need it. What do you mean by that?
So, for example, if I sent something about East Texas Giving Day and it's a month away, I don't need it right now. But a day before it comes along, I'll go back and say, oh yeah, I got an email about East Texas Giving Day from X, so I'll donate it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a good point. Like I said, it's a longer lifespan, has more legs than social media. So great. All right. So I didn't hear like I just hate it. I got some. I get too many of them. I delete them. But I didn't hear any like, ooh, when it comes to sending emails, like I just dread it. Good. All right. So we're going to go through 20 tips. There we go. All right. So we're going to go through 20 tips to make your emails a little more engaging. All right, so we've already covered this, so we don't have to stay on here. But email and social media are not the same thing. We've already talked about that. We don't need to, hammer that point anymore. But it is important for nonprofits to be active both on social media and through email. All right, we're going to look at some examples here with some of these. Make your subject lines easy to read. How do you make them easy to read? Make them short and use words that people understand. The subject line is like the outer envelope of your direct mail appeal. Its primary goal is to get people to open it. People want to explain what's in the email in the subject line. That's not its job. That's what the email's for. You want email subject lines that's going to be intriguing, easy to read, and get the people to not delete right away. That's the part of the subject line. I don't want you to delete it right away. I want to capture a little bit of your imagination and curiosity to at least get you to take that next step to see what's in that email. You don't go back to the subject line after that. So it needs to be easy to read. Example, there we go. All right, I know Optimum, I'm sure, is going to make me a villain here. I know that's, but like many of you, I'm sure you get Optimum emails. You get their stuff. But what I wanted you to see here is look at the subject line up here at the top. Does this have a laser pointer on this? I don't know. But if you look up at the top there, trade your phone in for money in 3 easy steps. I don't have to think about that anymore. I know exactly what that is. And it's going to make me want to, I'm going to read a little bit further. Simple words. They use the dollar signs, which caught my attention a little bit, but there's not a whole lot of thinking required. It's trade your phone in for 3 easy steps. Easy. And there's even some things to that 3 easy steps. Like, it also makes me seem like I'm not going to have to do a lot of legwork when I open this email. It's 3 easy steps. If you have any questions as we go through these, raise your hand. Happy to take questions along the way. We're going to have time at the end to answer questions. In addition to keeping it easy to read, keep it simple. Keep it one thing. Your email may include multiple things, but that doesn't mean that your subject line has to include everything that's in your email. Keep your subject line to one thing. I'm a huge fan of Bricks and Minifigs. I have 4 kids. We are frequent visitors and patrons at Bricks and Minifigs. Love them to death. But when I got this, I thought, when I just read that, free, make, and take, build, and President's Day sale, that took too long for me to read and process. Free, make, and take, and build. You see how kind of clumsy that is a little bit? Like, I'm having to think too much about that subject line. Free, make, and take, build, and President's Day. They're telling me what's all in the email. Like, just pick one thing to get me to read further. This isn't it.
So maybe it should have said free, make it, take event.
Yeah, President's Day sale.
You make it, you take it. Yeah. You make it, you take it. That's it. I'm like, what's that about? Similarly, keep your message simple. All right? So, because people delete, you don't have a lot of time to capture their attention. People don't read anymore. I don't know if you know this. People don't read anymore. Like, there are so many shiny objects out there that with your subject line and within the body of your email, that first thing has got to get their attention, and it's got to be simple. Same with this. If I open the email and I've got to discern free, make, and take, and build, and President's Day, I'm out. Delete. I don't know. So your message must also be simple. There's a company called Deep Brand. They make cases and covers for electronics. What I love that they did there, first you can see the subject line, the ugliest thing we've ever made. I wouldn't recommend that as a nonprofit, you go necessarily that route, but it certainly made me want to read the email, I can't deny that. And then the message up there, look how simple and clean it is. It's the name of their new product. Now you may not care about that product, I don't even own that product, but I now know what that product's name is, because they didn't over-explain it to me. They showed me a picture, they put the name of the product on there, and if I wanted to learn more, I could read right below it. Simple, clean. They didn't overcomplicate it. I learned more looking at this email in 5 seconds than I did this. And I love them both the same. And I'm more likely to buy from them because I have kids and all this. I don't even have that. But I know a lot more about this because of how clean and simple it is than this one. So keep your message simple. You don't.
What is that?
We don't have time to go now. See me after the session. I can explain it. Yeah. Okay. So, you took me off. All right. Now I'm thinking about that. Yeah. So clean, simple, to the point. You don't have to put everything in your email. Be very strategic and thoughtful about your message. Again, the point is keep your message simple. This is honestly why email marketing is so difficult. Because it is so easy, right? It's like Jefferson said, I'm sorry for writing you such a long letter, I didn't have time to write you a short one. Because making something clean and simple is more difficult than just dumping stuff out on a sheet or in your email. So this is actually one of the most difficult pieces of email and social media marketing is how do you distill the message that you're trying to share with your audience into something that is concise and simple. All right. Make your font easy to read. This font, Aperture, easy to read. This down here, easy to read. This, not quite as easy. My go-to, if I'm writing an email, is 16-point font. I have found that that is a good balance whether I'm looking at an email on a computer or on a phone. 16-point font is kind of my go-to. When it gets smaller than that, it gets a little bit harder to read. If you're looking at it on a computer, it's probably fine, but once you start getting into phones, it gets harder to read. So make your font easy to read. Again, another optimum example, because I just want you to see how big they make their title. They don't have a bunch of small font in there. You get it right away. Same here. See the size of the font. It's not a bunch of little fonts. These are big fonts here. So make sure when you're doing your email, keep your font big. Size 16 is a good kind of baseline. Don't fear the grammar police. All right. Probably true for social media as well. So my business partner, who has an extensive background in branding and marketing, this is a lot of the conversations we have in our office when we're coming up with fundraising copy and design materials, is sometimes fundraising copy breaks the rules. And it's not because we just want to break the rules or we just say, that's just what I want to do, but because we know that something will stand out if we do something a little different, and it might not be exact grammar, might not be correct, but it's what's best for that piece. And so I'm sure that some of you have board members, you may have some other people on staff, that when they see some of your stuff, they'll go, technically, excuse me, but you have to say, no, the goal here is not to write, an academic paper. We want people to see it, engage with it, and if it means we break a few grammar rules, that's what we have to do. I thought about this because I get so many emails from Wayfair. But I noticed that they don't capitalize the title. Those are all lower caps. And I know if I ever went back and started doing this, something like this at previous places, I would have people be like, well, you got to capitalize, and you have to write and, you have to write the word out, and you have to do this. Is there a period or a comma? No. It looks so much better in all lowercase than it would be if it were all uppercase or if you had the capital Y. It just looks better that it's all lowercase. So do not fear the grammar police. Sometimes you have to stand your ground and say, it looks better this way. It's easier to read this way. It may not be grammatically correct, but this is what we need to do. Number 7, use what you know your audience cares about. So we're getting a little deeper now. We're getting a little deeper. This requires a little bit of work ahead of time, but I think we would all agree that we want to know our audiences as well as we possibly can. We want to know what our donors care about. Like if we know that we have donors that went to school here, if we know that we have donors that care about a particular program, the more of that information we learn about our donors, then when we send them emails, we can customize those emails to reflect things that they care about. And not just send blanket emails. Maybe this is something you were talking about earlier, that if we don't know our audience, then we have to send all of them the same message all the time. And that's really where you can get to communication or donor fatigue, is when you're treating them all the same, and regardless of when they gave or what they care about, it's so broad, no one feels like that you're talking to them. So the more that you can understand your audience and what they care about, the more customized or personalized you can be in your emails. That is a big one for increasing your engagement. The more that your emails reflect things that they care about, as detailed as you can be, the more engagement you'll get through your emails. So I use Rally House here. Just a sports apparel store, national, but you know what they know about me? That I live in Texas. They know I live in Texas. So they said, he probably cares that today is Texas Independence Day. So we're going to send him this email, and they were right. I did care. But I tell you, people in Oklahoma aren't getting this email. They know something about me, and then they're using email to communicate that with me. Say, hey, it's Texas Independence Day. Here's some things that you might like. May not seem like much, but when you think about your donors, the more that they can feel like that you know them, and that you don't just see them as a number or as a donor, the more engagement you'll have. So the more you can learn about your donors in your emails, the more personalized you can create that experience for them. All right, we'll spend a couple of minutes just talking about AI. Not a fan, because it's kind of annoying. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Number one, everyone is using AI now. Everyone uses it. So when you use AI and you use a bulk of what AI is generating for you, you're now sounding like everybody else in this room. Whether you're using ChatGPT or Google Gemini, whatever it is you're using, it's all kind of sounding the same. And there are some tricks that you can use. You can say, well, write it maybe this way, write it in a 5th grade level. There are certain things you can do to make it better. But at the end of the day, as everyone is using AI, because we need an email done now, we need social done now, the more you use that, the more you're sounding like everyone else. And the reason why I find it's annoying is because no one talks like that. How many emails and social posts do you see and you go, I know who wrote this and I know they don't talk like that? Is that just me? Right. So we all see it. We all see something on Facebook or an email, and we're like, I know they don't talk like that. This isn't them. How does that make you feel? It makes you feel like you're just talking to a robot, right? It doesn't make you feel like that there's someone on the other end that wrote this email for you. So that's why it's annoying, because sometimes, especially for your donors, they're like, I know you. This does not sound like you. This does not sound like Beth. I just got an email from the Smith County Bar Association. It's from Beth. I know Beth. But what is this jargon she's using? Like, Beth doesn't talk like this. It sounds nice. When it sends it out to you, when you have to write this, and it puts it out there, you're like, ooh, that kind of sounds nice. The problem is it's not conversational, and it's not you. So I took this screenshot because I was writing a newsletter, and it had an infographic that you could click and download. And our AI tool picked this sentence out. The sentence that I wrote says, click on the infographic to download and check out the link below to see the full report. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I didn't need. AI suggested that I replace it with click on the captivating infographic to instantly access the download and don't miss out on the opportunity to explore the complete report by following the link provided below. What? That's why it's annoying. I'm like, no one talks like this. And if someone did talk like this, you wouldn't be their friend. No one wants to hang out with this person that talks like this all the time. And as you're trying to use email to deepen that relationship with donors, don't be this person. Don't be that person who's just putting up this front. You know, you hear this all the time. Be your authentic self. This is what that means. Use your voice. Be yourself. Don't hide behind AI. You can use it. I give you permission to use AI. It's all right. I use AI sometimes. But it never replaces my voice and my ideas that I came up with. Okay. All right. Name in subject isn't new anymore. So how many of you get emails with your name in the subject line? All right. So that used to be kind of a new thing, and for a long time, that increased open rates. If you want someone to open your email, if they see their name in the subject line, it significantly increased the open rate. Now there's data that's showing, now that everyone's doing it, in some cases, it's hurting the open rate. Because now it's so common, and all the Wayfairs and Optimums are doing this, that now when they see their name in the subject line, it's like, oh, this is probably spam. It's probably nothing. So it's not a new thing anymore. So if you're thinking, oh, if I get my donor's name in the subject line, that's going to increase the open rate, test it, is all I'll say. It's not as effective as it used to be. Now, I can say from our list, we're seeing a little bit of that, but I wouldn't say that's true across the board. So for example, just giving you like a little peek behind our curtain, I do know that when we write a subject line for our company, if I put the recipient's name in the middle of the subject line, it gets a higher open rate. So if I say, Beth, comma, did you know? If I replace that with, does Beth know about this? Higher open rate. So send a full proof, so play with it. And I kind of found that out by accident. And it just changes the way that you read that first line. You're asking it about yourself, because instead of talking at Beth, do you know? It's like, does Beth know about this? I don't know, do I? I don't know. So, but it's not a new thing anymore. And here's just an example. Can you get this deal before its history? We've gotten so many of those that just by plugging a donor or constituent's first name in the subject line, it's not this silver bullet anymore. Number 10. And how are we doing on that? Great. All right. Number 10. This is going to go against what you guys were saying earlier, because I'm going to say send more emails than you feel comfortable sending. Now, here's the caveat to that. Do it well. Because in most cases, the problem isn't that you're sending too many emails. The problem is usually you're not segmenting your list well enough. It means that all of your constituents are getting all the same emails at all the time, and sometimes someone might make a gift, and then the next day, all your constituents are getting a, hey, it's Thanksgiving Day, now give now. So I just gave yesterday. So you have to ask yourself, is the question is it that we're sending too many emails, or are we not doing email well? And in most cases, it's that we're not doing email well. Let me give you an example. So I get a ton of emails from these companies. I haven't unsubscribed. I delete them a lot, but at the end of the day, I care about this. I might need some sports apparel. I might need to go to Bricks and Mini Things. So I don't unsubscribe, but I do delete, right? So the frequency is not as a barrier as you might think. In most cases, it's not doing it well enough. Now, the follow-up question is, well, how many emails should we send? What's too much? I wish there was a golden rule for that. Honestly, once a week, not a problem. A lot of these companies, they send out emails all the time, some several times a day. You're going to keep the ones that you care about. So send more than you might. If it's once a week, something like East Texas Giving Day, you're going to have probably more emails going out, building up to that campaign. You might have an email or two on East Texas Giving Day. Then you might have a follow-up after Giving Day. And then you might give your audience a break for a little bit. And then you might ramp up. If you have a gala or something else coming up, then you might build it back up. But generally, I find myself encouraging our clients to send more emails than they're comfortable doing. Because we don't want to bug our constituents, but they do want to hear from us if we do it right. Don't let unsubscribers hurt your feelings. I have some news for you. You have people in your database that don't care about your cause. I don't know how they got on there, but they're in there somewhere. They may have given a memorial gift a couple of years ago for a friend, and that was all they wanted to do. They may have wanted an auction item at one of your events, and they're in your system. But they may not necessarily care about your thing, and that's okay. That's okay. Not everyone cares about everything equally. And so as you're building up your email list and you're sending out more emails, you will have unsubscribes. Don't take it personally. I do. That's why I'm telling you not to do it. Because when I see someone unsubscribe from our list, I'm like, oh, wait till I see them again. Pull them aside. Like, what's up? You don't like me anymore? Yeah, they might not. No, honest. But it's helpful to get them off of our list because that tells us they're not interested in what we're sharing for whatever reason. They may got a new job, whatever. So understand as you're building up emails, you will have unsubscribers, and that's okay. You're filtering out your list, and you're getting rid of people who may have won an auction item or made a memorial gift a few years ago, and this just isn't the thing for them. So don't let that hurt your feelings. This is coming up on Sunday. Daylight Savings Time. Who's here is excited for Daylight Savings Time? No. You're going to need a lot of coffee. Fun fact, email rates decline after Daylight Savings Time. So if you're sending out emails, and this will be fun for you to test on your own, but across the board, just based on national statistics, after Daylight Savings Time, the first 3 or 4 days after that, email rates dip a little bit. It's because people are tired and they're grumpy and they're just like, I'm just going to delete everything I want. Just delete it all. So that's coming up on Sunday, so that might be helpful to know. I also saw some research that says the average time to write an email is 2 weeks. Does that feel right to you? Raise your hand if you would say, yeah, it takes me about 2 weeks from start to finish. Because I start, I stop, I start, I stop. I start an email, then I have to go find the article. I start the email, then I got to go find the picture. And then, so does this ring true? Raise your hand if you would say that it takes you about 2 weeks to write an email. It takes 2? Okay, why? Why does it?
It's not my turn.
So does that mean you just put it off or you do it like piece by piece?
No, I use board members and other people in the organization to help.
Okay, you use other people to help write emails. All right, that's a good. Yeah.
Sometimes your creation just comes in spurts, and you're like, it just sits there in your inbox for a little bit, and all of a sudden something comes to you, you put it in there, and then you work on it for a little bit, and then you're like, it's not right, or something happens, and you get peeled off, and you file right out of your draft, and then you go back into it later.
Yeah, it's hard to schedule creativity. Right? Sometimes you gotta find your thing. I know for me, I'm more creative in the morning, and that's when I schedule all my creative stuff, and usually by 3 o'clock, creative juices are gone. But, so I schedule mine in the morning. If I have to do any writing, I know when to do that. But I thought this was interesting because I know we don't have 2 weeks to write an email. So think about, and I know some groups like measure how long it takes them to write an email from start to finish, and they try to get that down as quickly as possible just to be more efficient. All right, we have 6 more. Number 14, testable copy versus teasers on your to your site. So I know a lot of people try to put everything in the email. If there's a blog, if there's an invitation, if there's information about a program, they try to put all that information in the email. And for some people that may work. What I would encourage you to do is put snippets of those things with links to your website. So instead of asking them to read everything in that email, which can turn your emails into this long, test snippets. Say, hey, we have this coming up, and then start the paragraph, ... click here to read more. And send them to your website instead of having them read the whole thing in the email. And there are a lot of other benefits to that as well. Once you get them on your website, they're more likely to click around, they're more likely to see something else that they dig into. So if you're writing all of your copy in the email, if you can, do some A/B testing where you're doing that, and then send a version out that just has snippets and see what people are clicking on as they go to your website. Don't embed PDFs in the body of your email. If you're doing a newsletter or something graphically designed and you export that in a PDF, you put that right into your email. Most of the time, it's really hard to read. It's really, really hard to read. And especially when you think of your phone. You know, when you get your phone and you have a PDF in there, well then I got like zoom in to see certain things, or maybe I have to click on it and that takes me somewhere else. But generally speaking, PDFs aren't designed to be put directly in an email. Yes?
Well, I've discovered recently, because we have older computers and older, functioning items, that sometimes when people send me a PDF, I can't open it anyway. So a lot of older people might not even have the ability to open it.
Right. Yeah, you can run into some tech issues if you're putting a PDF in there and they're having to open it and do something with it. But yeah, generally they're not designed to be in an email. But I see that a lot, especially with newsletters, especially with invitations. We design it, we put it in a PDF, maybe a JPEG, and we just embed that onto our email. It can be fine if it's designed the right way, it's just not in most cases. Better to design a specific graphic, so take it and just make it the dimensions for an email and embed that as just an image itself in bigger font, rather than just translating that PDF onto an email. Did you have a question?
You answered it.
Got
So design a separate graphic design for email.
Yeah, emails have their own, their own dimensions, whether you want to do a square, an email header, something like that, but customize it for, now in many cases, you can just take the same design and just do a little bit of tech work to it to make it the right resolution. Include a link to your site in your image header. How many of you have some sort of a header at the top of your emails? Very few people. All right. Step number one, put a header at the top of your emails. That's the first step. But you'll see, we'll go back to one of these examples. Let's just say Rally House. You know, I saw something one time that says 30% of clicks in an email happen up here. Happen up here. Well, if you have a header in your email and it's not a link to your website, or if you're having, let's say, East Texas Giving Day, maybe you want to send them directly to your East Texas Giving Day profile. But always have a link at the top of your email, because a lot of people click on it. And I know sometimes I'll click just to see who's doing it, and I'll get an email, I'll click the top, it doesn't go anywhere. But a lot of people click on that header, so make sure you got a link up there. Yeah.
Go back to 16 for a second.
Yeah. And I think Holly will be sending out the slides.
Yes.
I should have said that at the beginning. But yeah. Include a link to your site, or it doesn't have to just be like your home page. Like if you're sending out East Texas Giving Day emails, it can direct to your profile on East Texas Giving Day. If it's for a specific campaign, it can send over there. If it's for volunteers, if you have an email going out recruiting volunteers, take them directly to your volunteer sign-up page. All right. Make sure you test on mobile before you send it out. I know it's hard, but most email tools these days have the functionality where you can preview it on computers and on mobile devices. Make sure you click that extra button to see how it looks on a phone. Now, I know we see a lot of emails open on computers still, but there's still a good chunk that sees it on mobile. And there's nothing like writing a great subject line or a great email header and a great graphic and putting it all together, and then you see the real thing, and that one word just comes down here, or that period comes down here, and now all of your spacing is thrown off, and it kind of looks clunky. So make sure you test on mobile before you send your emails. And I put the same thing as 18 by accident. So 19, make your call to action clear and obvious. This button right here. I don't have to look for it. A lot of emails that I see, I might see the call to action, but then it's like a where's Waldo to try to figure out where the link is, or where do I go? And again, like we talked about earlier, you have a very, very small amount of time to get their attention, to tell them what you want to tell them, and then to get them to do a thing, right? The more they have to hunt for something, the more they have to think about something, the less likely they are to do the thing. So when you have a call to action in your email, which most of your emails should, you should make it very easy and obvious what they should click on to go and do the thing. That's why Shop Now, it's in orange, it stands out. If I wanted to do this, there would be no question about where to click. If you have heard this before, you're not permitted to answer. But there was an interesting article about a year ago that came out that did some research. I love this kind of stuff. The optimum color for your button. Does anyone know what color had the best engagement as far as the color for the button? What color had the best engagement?
Green?
Green.
Orange, not orange, not green, not red.
Black.
I heard it over here. Yellow. Yellow. Dude. Okay. Yeah, stands out. Stands out. Good point. Even more fascinating, why did they find that yellow was the best color?
It makes you feel happy.
It makes you feel happy.
Sunshine.
Sunshine. It's a good guess. It's not what they said. It's not what they found, but I like that.
That's what you highlight with most of the time, no?
It's what you're used to seeing it when you highlight. It's a familiar color. What are we trained to do? What have we all been doing a lot for the past 15, 20 years now? Driving. Do you buy stuff on your phones? Amazon. What color is the Amazon Buy It Now button? It's yellow. It's yellow. Amazon and some other partners have used yellow buttons for so long that we are now almost programmed to see that yellow button and get that little click. I feel good. I just bought something. It feels good. So we've almost been kind of programmed to see that yellow button, and like sunshine, like we kind of feel good when we see that yellow button. We have a good experience when we buy something off of Amazon. So now don't do that, because everyone in this room is going to have yellow buttons, and so you're going to stand out. So now go the opposite, go red or something, go black. All right, and finally, because I want to build some time in for questions, find your email software. So a lot of these things you can do no matter what email software you have. These are pretty basic things that they can all do, right? So I didn't want to make this something that's really specific to one particular email software. These things most softwares can do right out of the box. But it's important that you find the right one and to invest your time into learning it. So I would love to hear from you what email software you're currently using and whether you like it, whether it's kind of meh, or whether you'd be like, oh, we're not happy with it at all. So who wants to share what email software you're using?
MailChimp.
Okay, MailChimp. Scale of 1 to 10, how well do you like MailChimp? Okay. Well, you went like, and then you came up with an 8, so I thought it was going to be like a 3. But okay, so 8. Yeah. MailChimp's a good one. We've done a lot of work in MailChimp. MailChimp is one that's pretty easy to use. It's got a lot of customization in it. I think the free version comes with a lot of helpful features. They each have their own pricing, but MailChimp's a good one.
And they have a nonprofit rate.
They have a nonprofit rate. Yep. So MailChimp is definitely a good one. Constant Contact is the other one. How do you like it? About an 8. In my experience, like Constant Contact is good, MailChimp is better. MailChimp's done a better job at just being more user-friendly, customizable, but Constant Contact is another popular one. Does no one else in here use email software? Who doesn't use?
We use Emma.
Okay, we have Emma. Emma's a good one. Who doesn't use any email software? Raise your hand if you're not using email software. Okay. But a lot of people are, but we're not. Okay, we're sending emails, but we're not using email software. So you're sending one-on-one emails? No. What do you?
Microsoft and making groups and then sending blasts to groups. But I don't know that.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like you can, like with donor management software, Excel can work wonders. You can make some of those things work. As you grow, there's a ton of benefits that these softwares allow you to do. Like I live in tech. Like you can make notes about your constituents, and you can segment your audience. So when you know a group of donors care about program A, when there's something really neat and exciting about program A that you want to celebrate with your donors, you know exactly who to send that to. And it can be personalized, so not only in the subject line, but you get to personalize in the body. They can see their name, sometimes their gift amounts and things like that. So.
On Mocha, I would say one of the features that I like the most, and I'm just going to make a decision about that, is the analytics that Mocha gives you. And it really does help you kind of, again, get to know the people that you're emailing, because when you go to look, and one, you can see if they opened it. So if people aren't opening your emails, and that lets you know that not you can. But you can see who's opening it, when they're opening it. It'll tell you what's the best time to send an email, so you can schedule your emails at the time that most of them are coming in. And it's telling you by just starting to not open them anymore, you can help segment the emails you send. This group of people seem to always open it for this, but they're never opening it for that.
Right.
So then I'm going to take them out of that group, and I'm not going to send them that anymore. I'm only sending this.
Right. Yeah, is it, the data that you can collect using good software is so helpful. And it's not just data that you can learn. Like you're saying, you get to learn who's opening your emails. So as you're sending them out, you can see, oh, this person always opens our emails. And that can, it can tell you that they're engaging, right? As opposed to someone who's just not seeing it.
So who are the good nonprofit email software? And
Oh, yeah.
are younger people also using it? Do they read emails? Is it just young people?
Yeah, yeah. So what email softwares? So MailChimp, Constant Contact. There's one called ConvertKit, ConvertKit. ConvertKit is another good one. It's got a pretty good free version as well. Those are the three. That's why I was kind of wanting, if anyone else has a great email tool or software that they're using, please feel free to chime in. Because I certainly haven't used all of them. But Emma, MailChimp, and ConvertKit are my three favorites that I've used. I'm sure there's other good ones out there. All right, safest stuff. It feels uncomfortable to send more emails. It feels uncomfortable to get creative with your subject lines. Like it feels like it kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone a little bit. And that's okay. This is where A/B testing can come in. This is where metrics can come in. Because it's not just for fun. At the end of the day, being creative with subject lines, playing with fonts so that it's easier to read. At the end of the day, this isn't just about having fun or being creative. It's about getting people to see what we're sending them. It's about getting people to open the email and read the information that we're trying to share with them. We don't want them to miss the great stories that we have to share with them. So it's not about just having fun, it's about making sure that our donors see an opportunity to give and that they see the impact of their giving, that we share with the wins that we have, and we're sharing that with our donors. We don't want them to miss it. So what we can do to increase open rates, to get them to click and visit our website, it just allows us to deepen that relationship with that donor. And we have so many people in our database, we just can't do it one-on-one. There aren't enough hours in the day. So it feels like you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's great. If you have the ability to A/B test, even better. A lot of these softwares come with A/B testing. So if you're getting pushback, oh, I don't know that, we need to change this or change that. Now you can have some data. Do an A/B test and see which one gets open more. See which one gets more clicks and things like that. I know with Robin and with the symphony, like we've done a lot to change subject lines, and we're seeing more traction. In that case, we're focusing on quality, not quantity. So we're making sure that everything goes out. It's easier to read, it's a little more engaging, and we're getting some good results there. All right, so here's where AI, I'll flip it back around. So here's where AI can be helpful, because I used AI to say, how would Ted Lasso ask for questions at the end of a presentation? So I'm not anti-AI. It's a fun little tool. So I asked specifically Google Gemini. I said, hey, how would Ted Lasso ask for questions at the end of the presentation? It said, I would say a question ain't nothing but a curiosity wearing a different hat. Now, who's got something for me? I'm all ears. So AI can be fun. All right, so any other questions? We have about 5 minutes. Any other questions? We talked like there were 20 tips, a lot of information. Any burning questions about email marketing for nonprofits?
Okay, when would you send out an email with a QR code for them to donate to East Texas Giving?
When would you send out an email for them to give? So Holly might be the best person as far as a timeline standpoint to answer that question. I don't have that off the top of my head. But as far as time of day, so let's say, as Holly comes up and helps answer that question. As far as time of day, generally, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays are good email days. But again, I would go back to test, because it's not the same for everyone. I know we just kind of found this out with the symphony, like we're getting really good response to emails that we send on weekends. How did we find that out? Well, not from a textbook. We said, hey, let's try out a Sunday evening email. People are in their pajamas, they're scrolling. Let's see if we can get them in. We did it, had a good response. Let's try that again. So play with it. Start with a few standard days during the week. Do it Tuesday, Thursday. But then have a third that you're kind of playing around with different times. Mornings are usually pretty good. I like to watch when I'm getting all these other marketing emails, because these big businesses, they're looking at this stuff all the time. So pay attention to when you're getting emails from these companies, because most of the time they know something that we don't know. So I like to watch what they're doing and then try to apply that and see what works. So from a date standpoint.
Yeah, so giving opens on the platform April 7th. So you definitely want to start generating your publicity at that point to start, because people can take action. Like, you can trickle out things about how we're participating in Giving Day. This is what we're maybe doing with our campaign. But, starting April 7th, it's game on. You were talking about time frames. I can tell you, I have,
I'm a theater person, so I have my big voice on. Okay, so for me, at my office, I have a couple of different segments that I send information to. One is professional advisors. When I send them something, it's Monday morning at 5:30 in the morning. Because they are starting their day. They're up, they may be drinking their coffee, but they're going through emails. So think about who your audience is. A lot of the times for you as nonprofits, you will see that my MailChimp stuff comes out to you in the mornings as well. Sometimes I may do it at 7:30, 8 o'clock. The reason being is because you're getting to your desk. And what do you do first thing is crack open that to see what awaits you for the day. So I try to be in that first round of when you're actually paying attention on Monday mornings. You know what I mean? I will give you another little tip. This is one that I have used for several years in marketing to our donors. Whenever I want to talk to someone, okay, think about what East Texas Communities Foundation We do Giving Day one day a year, right? The rest of the time, we're looking for planned giving and that kind of stuff. So whenever I segment my emails out to send something to someone about planned giving, estate planning, I go through our database and pull all the AOL.coms. Why? Because those of you who are young in the room don't know that whenever we used to go to Walmart, there was a gigantic bucket of AOL.com CDs that you would come and you would use and load the email browser into your, so you automatically know if it's an AOL.com, that individual is more than likely in the planned giving stages of their life. So, thank you.
That's a good tip. That's a really good tip.
That can help you.
Yeah. So, if you have any other questions, I'll be around for a few minutes. Holly's the next presenter. So, if you have any other questions, I'll be back there somewhere. So, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Before I leave, one little plug. So, this is the second year that we have done an East Texas fundraising survey. Thank you to everyone in the room that has participated in that survey. So we have a webinar on March 28th. We've had almost 100 participants in this year's survey. And we ask everything from how long you've been in the position to what are you doing in fundraising, how engaged is your board, what donor software are you using. And so we're going to have a webinar on the 28th. It's free. My friend Christina Weiniger is going to join me, and we're going to have a 1-hour webinar where we review the report and we dive into some of the things that warrant further discussion. So if we see that most people are dissatisfied with their board engagement, we're going to take 15 minutes or so and dive deeper into what's causing that and how can nonprofits get their board members more engaged. So it's free. So there's the QR code. We'd love to have you all join us. So.
Okay, so after you log in and pay your registration, you have to update your profile. Actually, this year they did it a little weird on the platform. In the past, you would log on, update your profile, and then pay the registration fee. It's inverted this year. I don't know why. So you have to go in, update your profile, and then you can pay. There are videos on how to update your profile if you haven't done all that yet. When you get to your landing page on the dashboard, there is a video that you can watch that kind of gives you a step-by-step of what each one of those little things, each of those pieces of your profile can do for you. You have to update, this is still a vein of my existence, but you have to update your profile in one setting because there's not a save feature. So just know that. Now you can cheat the system and you can add like 000 in a required field, and then you can go back and update it. You do have until April 24th to update content on your profile. So if at any time you discover a typo, you can go back in and fix links, and I do encourage you to do that. When you're logging in and you're updating your mission statement and adding photos and all that kind of stuff, when you get done, log out, and then go to easttexasgivingday.org and search for your nonprofit and see what the world is going to see whenever they come to the landing pages to see you. Yes, ma'am?
Do you have any metrics on the landing pages and how many get viewed and what?
Ooh, I don't. I have like Google Analytics on the whole site, but not individual landing pages, other than like the hot ones, like the leaderboards and things like that. I don't have on specific nonprofits per se, unless they were like in the top 10 maybe. I'd have to go do some digging, but I don't have that off the top of my head.
What we're putting there is effective.
Yeah, I'll see. I don't know what I can come up with on that one. So it's something for me to think about. Okay, let's see. Like I said, go back and make sure that what the public sees is what you want them to see. If you put a photo of your executive director doing something and it's upside down, that's not necessarily the image that you want out there for the world to see. Now, here's the other thing I want you guys to all know. East Texas Giving Day ends at midnight on April 29th. However, the site doesn't go away. And throughout the rest of the year, especially when we get into the last quarter of the year, East Texas Giving Day numbers, for people going to the site to look, goes up. And the reason is because it's like a universal warehouse of nonprofits across the 32 counties. So we send our donors there to look, if they want to research people, we say, hey, go over there to East Texas Giving Day, they participated, you can find out about them. So when people call our office, whenever the media calls our office, we always direct them to the platform. So make sure the content that's up there is kind of evergreen, that it's not just, it's more about your organization, your mission, those kind of things, and make sure the links all work. Because at any time in December, if a donor is looking to give to you, they can find you on East Texas Giving Day, click through to that live link, and get to your landing page of your own website to make their contribution at the end of the year. So make sure all those links work. Okay, so again, whenever you're doing East Texas Giving Day, you want to drive everybody to easttexasgivingday.org. The leadership is going to provide real-time tracking of all the giving that is going on. The smallest donation size is still $10, but there is no maximum. And gift acknowledgement tax receipts are sent instantly whenever someone completes the gift. That is not the substitute for thank yous. You are still expected to send a thank you to those donors. And charities can view and acknowledge donors in real time during the event. When you log into the back end of your profile, you can get an Excel spreadsheet that will download, and it will give you the information about that donor. It includes their cell phone, it includes their email, it includes their mailing address if they're not anonymous. This data is what you can use later on to continue to steward to those individuals. And you will receive any contributions that you receive or that you raised during East Texas Giving Day. We promise to do those within 6 to 8 weeks post-event. We have an internal deadline that we like to have those out by Memorial Day. This year we are highly motivated to have them out by Memorial Day because our finance officer is going on vacation. So, yes, we are going to do our best to get them out. Okay, this year is one of the things that they put into the system that I am not happy with, but again stuck with it, and it is this two-factor authentication. So when you go to easttexasgivingday.org, in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to pull down a little drop-down, and you'll select your organization that you would like to participate. When you get to this screen, you're going to select the dark blue button that says, I think it says log in if I'm already a participating nonprofit. If you are brand new, then you're going to want to click right here where it says apply as a new org. Okay. Neon One is our tech company that we work with. They are a huge conglomerate. They've bought up, back during COVID era, they were buying up tech companies left and right. They have CRM management, they have event management, they have, you can use them just for your payment processor. But anyway, they are the technology behind East Texas Giving Day. Okay, so two-factor authentication. If you haven't already done this hurdle, it's really not that bad, but we are encountering a few issues. So if you have used Neon in the past for, like I said, their CRM or anything like that, it kind of has a hiccup. It doesn't necessarily process it correctly. So, because it thinks you're trying to log into your other database. Anyway. So if you encounter those kind of issues, there is a handy blue support button at the bottom, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Please communicate with the support so that they know that we're having these issues. You can email me, but all I'm going to do is turn around and email it to support because I don't know how to fix some of this. Sorry. But you can use the Microsoft Authenticator app. I don't know if you have to do that. Sometimes we have to do that at our foundation because we use Microsoft stuff. If you have that app on your phone, then it's pretty easy to do. If you think I'm just talking like Charlie Brown's teacher won't, that's fine. If you knew what the Authenticator app was, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, once you get in on your dashboard, the announcements will be on the left side of the screen. There's that video. Whoa, there's a lot of arrows. Okay, that video that you want to watch is right up here. Milestones and deadlines are the little blue and green bubbles. At the top of your profile, it'll say, I think, My Public Profile or something like that. That's where you're going to get to this screen. And you're going to say up there at the top, Edit My Public Profile. And there are a number of fields that are new this year because they standardized the back end. Apparently they had a bunch of custom custom Giving Day things, and it was getting harder and harder and harder for their program team. So they standardized, which means that now I have questions that I've never asked before, and that includes budget. Put in whatever you want. I'm going to try to use that for prices. I figure if I have the information, I'll try to figure out how to use it. If you don't want to put anything in there, that's fine too. You have to put at least 000. However, if you put 000, know that it will show up on the public side of your landing page. The budget shows up. Yep, again, I didn't pick it, but I'm warning you, that's what we have. Okay, and then in order to complete your profile, you'll then have to pay your registration fee, but again, I think most of you have already done that. Okay, so ACH information. East Texas Communities Foundation, again, has an urgency to get the money back out to you. We want this all wrapped up as quick as possible, as much as you do. So when you're on your landing page, you can select or fill in the information about routing numbers and all that kind of stuff if you want us to do an ACH distribution. If you want a traditional paper check, you have to click up there in the top where it says, "We are unable to accept direct deposit." Click that box and you'll get a traditional paper check. Okay, so I'm going to also go out on a limb and say the past couple of years we have had difficulty with credit unions. If you say that you have a credit union and you put that in there, you're probably going to get a paper check from me. I'm just going to skip the credit unions because I don't know what it is. Something about direct ACH, it does not work that well. And they almost always wind up getting a paper check anyway. So just know that. Okay. Offline donations seem to trip people up every year. Offline donations is just a way for you to report cash or checks that you have received into your organization. I feel like it gives a better understanding of it fills out your entire Giving Day experience whenever you report those to us. I don't need to know the names of the donors. I don't need checks. I don't need anything. It's your word. I trust you. If I find out you're lying to me, then we're going to have words later. Okay. So, yes.
Okay, so I've had people, that don't really have the phones to do all the stuff online, and they said, "Can I bring you cash? Can I bring you a check?"
Absolutely. They can bring you cash and checks.
So if they bring a check, they make it out to my organization.
Yes.
And then we just write that down and we let you know, say, "Hey, Holly, I've got $100.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So as we get closer, April 1st is usually when I email out a form to you guys. It's an Excel spreadsheet. The Excel spreadsheet is meant to keep you organized. I don't really need it back. What I do need is an email on the night of Giving Day before 5 p.m. that says, "Holly, please add $10,000 to our leaderboard." And I will do that for you. We do it on the back end. We have a couple of staff members that will help me do it. Again, the spreadsheet is really to help you stay organized and track those gifts. You don't have to use my spreadsheet. You can use a pen and paper. But it's just to try to help you guys. But I do feel like adding that offline contribution really shows the full extent of what you've done for your campaign. You're shorting yourself if you don't report it. Okay, but because I can't verify all of your offline giving that you've received in your own office, it will not count towards prizes. I can only use what comes through the system as a legit, as a credit card contribution as a prize. Okay, and again, if you get the $100 gift from your sweet little Meals on Wheels donor, then you have to do all the processing of it. You go put it in your bank account. You give them the thank you. You give them the acknowledgement. I am just reporting it as an offline gift. Okay, and help a friend out. Do not report to me more than once. Last year there's 365 nonprofits and there's one of me and I'm outnumbered. And I get 900 emails saying, add another $10, add another $100, add this, add it, and I'm going to screw up. So just help me out, help me help you. And just send it to me one time, and I want to celebrate your enthusiasm as well, but I can easily, on that night, get inundated. Let me just tell you, I get there at 4 in the morning, and I don't usually leave until about 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning. So I don't have the staying power I used to have. We are inflation-proof at Giving Day. Our fees have still stayed at 5.46%, so I'm excited about that. Last year, 71% of the donors did cover the fees. So each organization has a different stat. That's just the universal overall 71%. Some of our nonprofits last year had 100% of the fees covered by their donors. We will do cash. We can take checks, Apple and Google Pay on the platform. So we are just so hip, y'all. They changed the way the volunteer portion works on the platform. So if you remember in years past, if you were a participant, when you got to the payout screen where you would, you put all of your favorite nonprofits in a bucket and you're in the checkout cart, you could volunteer. You could click, yes, I want to volunteer for this organization, or I want to volunteer for that organization. Well, they took it out of the pay part of the platform, and now it's a tab that's independently on each of your landing pages. So when you, at the top, you've got your logo, and you'll scroll down past your mission and all that kind of stuff. At the bottom, you have these tabs: overview, programs, volunteer, and fundraisers. So an individual can fill out this form right here, click I'm interested. I believe you will get an email whenever this happens, and you will also, in your data, well, let's see, they'll click that, okay. Once you get back into your dashboard, there's the tabs over here on the left. One of them is volunteer. Let's see if I can make this work. There it is. And that's where you will go, and you can export an Excel spreadsheet that has your list of volunteers. Now, once you get your list of volunteers, it is up to you to steward them. It is up to you. You need to be able to reach out to them. You need to figure out how you want to communicate to them, what you would like for the opportunities that you have in your organization. But these people have self-identified that they would like to know more about your work. So don't ignore them, but make yourself aware that you have to go hunting for them. You have to work with them. Okay. So look at me, I'm going like really fast. Okay. Giving Day is an excellent opportunity for you to capitalize on a moment. There is a lot of media attention related to Giving Day, mostly because it's a lot of chatter across 32 counties. This goes all the way from Texarkana down to Lufkin, from Canton all the way over to the border of Shreveport. There are a lot of activity related around Giving Day. Do the best you can to help your organization swim to the top. Not necessarily on the leaderboard, but within awareness. East Texas Giving Day is about raising funds, but it's also just raising your voice and letting people know what you're doing. You may be a brand new nonprofit, and it's an excellent opportunity for you to share what what your cause is. You can reach a broad range of donors. I also think that Giving Day is an excellent way for you to capitalize on your board members. Now, I realize they are difficult to move off a high center. They're just people too. But it's a great way for you to get them to share that they are on your board. Get them to put a Giving Day sign in their yard. Get them to put a Giving Day sign at their business. Get them to have their business be your match partner for the day. There's just lots of strategies you can use to increase your circle of influence. And it does level the playing field. Everyone that participates in Giving Day, if you're a small shop or a big shop, you get the same stuff. You get the same back end, you get the same opportunities to be in front of the media. You get your landing page will all be universal. You all have the same spots to fill out. It helps the small guys compete against the big guys. And of course, again, helps you build that data list, because now you're going to have a volunteer sheet and you're going to have your donor information. I will tell you, I've said this before in other presentations, the donor data that you were going to get, like I said, has their cell phone and their email address. Well, you may have a top tier donor, and they may decide that they want to move to Colorado because their grandbabies are there. But they don't necessarily tell you that they're leaving town. Well, so you still have their phone number and you have their email address, so you can still communicate and do outreach to them. One thing about Giving Day, I believe we received, nonprofits received gifts from 47 states. So it's not limited to just the 32 counties that are served. Whenever you're communicating and outreaching to individuals, we had 47 states that were represented as gifts. Okay, so East Texas Giving Day, there's a nonprofit toolkit. If you do nothing else, you can harvest information from the toolkit. It is available online on the EastTexasGivingDay.org platform under nonprofit resources. It has tips, tricks, checklists, it has all the goodies that you need to be successful. You can just cut and paste and modify for your own service, for your own business. I'm going to give you some important dates. Let me see what else. Registration is already open, but it will close on the 31st. Profiles are locked out on April 24th. Again, you can make as many edits as you want to your profile until April 24th. This year, peer fundraising opens on April 7th. I will put together a webinar that I will just throw as you can watch on demand on the website. The peer-to-peer fundraising looks a little different this year. And so it's fundamentally the same, it just looks a little different. But it is an excellent way for you to get your board members on board. And then actually East Texas Giving Day, April 29th. And again, we're going to try to get the checks out by the 31st. Okay, so, there's an arm.
Hello. So I don't understand what peer-to-peer
Okay.
fundraising is.
So she's asked, what is peer-to-peer fundraising? Peer-to-peer fundraising is, we've done it for about 3 years, and I just kind of let it just evolve. But peer-to-peer fundraising is a lot like the GoFundMe pages. So let's say you have, you have board member Jim, and you really want board member Jim to share about your work with his friends and family. So you tell board member Jim, go set up a peer-to-peer page. He'll go in there, there's 5 things he has to put in. He has to name his fundraiser, he has to put in a photo, he has to put in a little story about why he serves on your board, and he has to have a fundraising goal, like, $200, $500, whatever. And then it will create a link for him to use. He can email that link out to his friends, he can text it out to his friends, he can use it on social media. All the monies that are raised through that peer-to-peer fundraising campaign will go obviously directly to you. You as the organization will get an email that says, Jim's peer-to-peer has raised, has got a gift, and you'll go look and see what it is. Jim will also get an email. Part of the stewarding is that Jim should say, thank you, Joy, for this lovely contribution to my organization. So it's a great way for you to increase their involvement because it's a pretty easy lift. Like I said, it's only the 5 questions. But you gotta do it. You gotta work it. If we had time, I could show you, maybe, I don't know, I haven't even logged into the internet here.
Is that what you used to call celebration pages?
We used to call them celebration pages. Again, whenever they did the remodeling on the back end of this platform, they took away some of the customization, so it's just peer-to-peer, so I'm trying to go to their language now. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, for the matching,
Yes.
can you explain a little bit how that works? I've never done this before, so.
Well, lucky for you, there's a video. So I'm going to direct you to the video first, but the match is, instead of ETCF going out and fundraising on everyone's behalf across 32 counties, we push that down to the nonprofits. So the nonprofit is best for you to go find a match partner, and that way the money goes directly to you. But there's a video that you should probably watch, and then you can call me.
Okay.
Yeah, but match is not required on this site, but it is very helpful for your organization to have a match. It really does accelerate your fundraising. People like the marketing side of it. Where you can say, you'll double your gift. It's a big marketing thing. I mean, it really does work. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do the matches count for prizes?
No, because the match.
A lot of our what you call match partners,
Uh-huh.
they would just want to get a check. And
Well,
so-
but the match is already front end. So your original match goes into the backside on your profile. And then any contributions if it comes through as a credit card contribution, yes, those count towards prizes. But if you just get that check in the mail because they want to help you reach your goal, that's just mailbox money, you're good. But it doesn't count towards prizes. Brandon Chris is going to talk to us about social media essentials, which, as you're aware, East Texas Giving Day is an online campaign. Social media is key to your success, so I say the best for last. For almost 20 years, Brandon has helped nonprofits and businesses improve their branding and marketing. He excels in strategic development and execution of integrated marketing. He's done work with the Women's Fund of Smith County and Hospice of East Texas, as well as the East Texas Symphony Orchestra. So y'all, this is gonna be a good one, I'm excited, and then like I said, as soon as we are done, whenever you guys feel like, packing up and moving south, we'll make sure you get your East Texas Giving Day signs to, get your event started, so, thank you, Ray.
Hello, everyone. You guys can hear me okay? Okay. I don't know a lot of these faces in here. Not many of you know mine either, right? I've kind of, over the last so many years, these broken pictures, see, I'm starting off really, really good. This is me. I'll put my hand right here. Ready? Okay. It's the difference from going from a Mac to a PC. We're using a PC now. Mac is better, so there you go. So I moved to East Texas in 2003 to be part of a nonprofit here, and I met my wife. We got married, had 3 kids, went to college, graduated, I'm gonna build a career, and then I'm gonna leave Texas and leave everything that I built behind. Moved to Kentucky for 5 years, came back about 4 years ago, and I've just been hiding in my office ever since. So, not many of you know me because I haven't had the opportunity to get out and about in the community since I've moved back. So, I'm excited to start that process over again. I think you met Kenny Sigler earlier. I'm the Christ of Sigler Christ Agency. So together, we have the incredible opportunity of working with businesses, nonprofits, people of all shapes and sizes, businesses of all shapes and sizes around the United States to improve their marketing and make their cause move forward. Whether it be sell a widget or get people to a concert or feed children or fundraise for something. So we work on a wide variety of spectrums. So today, I'm going to talk to you about one of my old favorite subjects, social media, okay? So first, in this room, what tools are you using right now to win the social media game? So start shouting out some tools that you guys are using.
Reels.
Reels. Facebook. Instagram. More specific tools. Those are the two, Instagram, Facebook, two big ones.
Videos of people.
Videos of people. Anything else?
Canva.
Canva. I was waiting for that C word to come out. Okay, what else?
CapCut.
CapCut. Okay, if it makes it. We'll see if that continues, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of video. What about how are you planning your posts? Are you using Excel? Are you using a Buffer or a Hootsuite or a Plannable or any type of scheduling apps? Are you using the Meta Business Suite? Yeah, that's become the most popular one, right? Let's see, what else? Are you using your phone or your computer primarily? Okay, raise your hand if you use your phone more than your computer to post your social posts. Really, really high. Okay, keep your hands up. Raise your hand if you use your computer more than your phone. Okay, there's some hands that are not up yet. So are you not posting?
That's not my job, so.
Oh, no, it's okay. You don't know. Tell me. Pretty sure it's your job. Okay. So I ask those questions. I'm trying to gauge how deep and how techie I'm going to go versus how fun and strategic and does that make sense? I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go. So I'm going to break this into 3 phases, okay? So phase 1 is the are you ready phase. Phase 2 is the brand. And phase 3 is the plan for success, okay? You can see. Can you see? Oh, okay. Just check. Phase 1. Who has access to your Facebook page right now? If I said everybody get out your phone, post a picture right now. Raise your hand if you could do that. Raise your hand if you cannot. And, okay, so one of the biggest things before we even start thinking about a social media campaign, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what a campaign looks like and how that all works and what you should consider and how it all should flow, you gotta make sure that you have access. You don't wanna wait until it's time to start getting stuff going. It's like, oh, well, I gotta post this. I don't have access, and that's just gonna delay it even further. So you wanna make sure that you have access. So first, decide what accounts you're gonna use. Instagram, social media, TikTok? Are you gonna use shorts on YouTube? Are you gonna do stories on YouTube? Are you gonna use shorts? There's a whole bunch of those words that we're gonna talk about today. So what accounts are you gonna use? Let's see if this works. That works, great, that's much better. Okay. Sorry. Next, we want to decide what technology you're going to be using. So whether it's you or your team or whomever is working on your socials, you want to make sure that you have the right technology on your team so that you can make this happen. I think the best thing to start with is your phone and your phone camera. You don't need a great camera, although they're incredible to have. They take incredible photos. It just adds an extra step of you've got to get those photos off the phone, you've got to get them edited, you've got to get them in the right size. Oftentimes they're incredibly large. So I would say just start with your phone camera. They've caught up. If you have an iPhone 10 or higher, anything Google Pixel, anything Android, I don't know anything about Android. And if you have one of the newer phones, you'll be okay. But use your phone camera. And a note, most of you will probably assume to take the picture this way. Turn your phone sideways too. It's okay, because as you're capturing this data, a lot of this stuff you'll want to put on your website. You'll want to print some of it. You'll want to put it in brochures. And web developers like me really like sideways photos. So make sure that you're using that as well. Okay, so we already talked a little bit about phone versus computer. Phone, I'm a computer person. I'm on my computer way more than my phone, just because of the vast ability that a computer will have versus a cell phone. So I can post on socials on my phone. I can make that happen. We do manage one account that is almost strictly on Instagram and video, and all of that is done on my phone because it's just easier to manage, right? Editing tools. Nancy, you mentioned CapCut, Canva. Are you guys editing on Canva on your phone? Did you know you could do that? Yeah? Say it again? I agree. You can't see that. Yeah. And that's where the relationship between the computer and the phone is helpful. So I would recommend finding an editing tool, and I know we mentioned Canva, CapCut. There's a whole bunch there's a slew of them. I would find something that you're comfortable with that you can use on a regular basis. Because social media and marketing as a whole can be overwhelming already. And if you're learning new technology in the heat of the moment of now I've got to execute this campaign and make this incredible thing happen, and you're learning technology at the same time, you're already behind the curve. So you're going to settle, you're just going to post it because you have to post it, because I tell you to post it later. Well, it's in there. And it's not going to be as good as it was if you had taken a step back, gotten all of your access points, all of your technology organized, so that you can go in creatively and on par. All right, lingo. We've already said a lot of these words. What's a post? What's a post? Something you publish. What can a post be? It can be a reel. What's the difference between a reel and a post and a story? A post is generally a picture with a caption, with a link. That's what they consider a post. Okay, that's a different type of media than a reel, which is also a different type of media than a story. Do we all know that? No? Raise your hand if you knew that. Okay, again, I don't want to say things that everybody already knows this stuff. So a post is a picture, a link, a website URL. It generally is pulling in what is called metadata from your website, especially if it's a link. It's pulling SEO data from your website that your website developer had put on there for you. And that gives you the ability to share a piece of content And that will go through the news feed in a natural format. People can comment, like, and share the normal stuff, right? That's how Facebook started, a post. And then they started with Reels, right? Or stories, actually started stories first. Stories are the short little things that show up on the top of your phone that are only there for 24 hours. So a post has a lifespan, a story has a separate lifespan, and then Reels are longer stories that don't have a lifespan of 24 hours. They're the new addiction, right? They're the new thing that everybody loves to just scroll. So what I would recommend for you is do all three. Okay? Post stories, and post Reels on whatever platform you're going to use. So if you're going to be using Instagram and Facebook, those can be connected. And I used to say, don't connect them. It used to be this big, I remember saying in some of my first social media sessions, don't connect Facebook and Instagram because it's different audiences, it's different technology. Facebook made it easier by buying Instagram. So they kind of connected that, right? So now connect them. If it's not connected, you should connect them. And it makes your life so much easier, okay? And there's different audiences, there's different reach, there's different elements on either. So there's a reason you should be on one versus the other. If you're not on Instagram now, don't jump on it just for this campaign. It's too late. You have to have something to get it going, right? So you don't want to just jump on it right now. So going back to post, reel, and story, you should use all three. Reels and stories are vertical video only; they're not horizontal video. And you can oftentimes turn. There's a whole bunch of strategy. When you post a reel, you want to post it on your stories. We'll get into some of this stuff. Okay. You also have different versions on different apps. So you have Reels on Instagram and Facebook. You have TikToks on TikTok. You have Shorts on YouTube. All the same thing. It's the exact same media. So if you have a YouTube presence, go ahead and post that on YouTube. If you're posting the Reel on Facebook, share that onto YouTube as well. Okay? Share it onto TikTok. If you already have a TikTok audience, it's here. It works. Use it. What's a call to action?
Do something.
Do something? That's what I heard. Yeah. You're telling someone to do something. Like this post. Comment, share. Click this link. Instagram's a little frustrating where they actually don't let you put links in your posts. You have to kind of put it in the first comment. So if you have a register for this event and you don't put a link for them to register, you've lost them already. They're just going to scroll right past you. So you have to think of what are the things that I want my customer or my audience to do, and you have to make sure that you include that in your post. But if you know how to do it, it'll be much smoother as you go. Hashtags. Should we use them?
Yep.
Yes? Does anybody say no? And you can confidently say no. I can go both ways.
People still using it?
Are people still using them? Yes. Yes. So hashtags in the East Texas area are not as effective as hashtags around the world. Okay? So if I want to tag into, except East Texas Giving Day, right? I mean, you want to join that like, you're going to join that movement. That's what, you're going to want to do that. That makes sense. But if you're going to post, I don't know, pets, Tyler, Texas. Nobody outside of Tyler is looking for pets in Tyler, Texas, except Tyler, Texas folks. So you're not going to be capturing enough attention to that hashtag. So use that brain power and bring in some other call to action, some other thing for that customer, that person to participate in, rather than a hashtag that's really not providing them any value. Okay? What a hashtag does is it essentially groups, categorizes your posts. So if every time you post, you put Tyler, Texas, and if you click on Tyler, Texas, all the people that are posting hashtag Tyler, Texas will come up. Sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. But don't put 5, 6, 7, 10 hashtags on the bottom of your posts anymore. It's not a thing. Don't worry about posting first comment, 15 hashtags. Used to be a strategy, it's not a thing. If you have a national audience, ignore everything I just said. Because it is a thing. But it's a strategy. Like we gotta, and I'll talk to this in a little while, you have to know your audience. Well, is our audience in East Texas primarily? Well, what do they use? What do they not use? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Do they have these? If not, then you use your social energy and post them somewhere else. Get it somewhere else, right? Put them in emails. Hint, hint. I know Kenny just talking to you guys about emails. So, Pixels. What's a pixel? Pardon? No, that's Pexels. Pexels is free photos. It's all those crazy numbers that Facebook says your Facebook post should be 1200 by 600, like all those different ratios, right? And they're there for a reason. Listen to them. Use those, and I make sure you take screenshots. I've got Instagram and Facebook pixel regulations that I'll show to you guys in just a moment, so you guys make sure you take photos of those. Hashtag brand new Chris. I'm kidding. You want to make sure that you're using the right sizes, because we take time to get our Facebook posts, our photos, our graphics. We're on Canva. We're designing these incredible graphics. We want to make sure that nothing is being cut off, or nothing's being stretched. So take the time, and I'm a stickler with this. Take the time to do it right. A Facebook post is not the same size as an Instagram post. I don't know why. Call Mark. But I can't figure out why they can't get that on par with each other. They're the same it's the same thing, just make them the same. But they don't. So if you're gonna post something, you gotta remember where dead space is gonna come in. Don't put your call to action in the bottom of a post on Facebook, because on Instagram it's gonna get cut. So you gotta take into account your pixel sizes, your ratios, all those numbers as you're posting. This is a really common one. Okay, what's a PNG? What's a JPEG? What does a PNG have different than a JPEG? Say it again. Two different formats of photos. You're correct. They are photo formats.
Isn't it it's like a layer that can be added?
That's true. A PNG technically can be added. So JPEG is flat. If I took this microphone, this, and I placed them on together, this would overlay the piece, and I can't adjust them. But what I can do with a PNG is a PNG doesn't have a background if you do it right. If you export, like I know Canva, I'll talk Canva, not Adobe or anything. And we can talk Adobe if you guys would like. As you're exporting your PNG files, you have to click that transparent background button in Canva. You know that, right? So make sure that as you're pulling the PNG, it's going to have that negative, empty background so that you can place it on top of something else and get the whatever is behind it. Does that make sense? If you just put a JPEG in there, it's just going to put whatever that is on top of it. So know the difference between the two. I'm sorry? What if you have Adobe? If you are designing in InDesign or Illustrator, your PNGs will be fine. But you don't have to do that transparent background export. You just make sure that you don't have a photo or a layer behind it. So it'll automatically export it as a PNG. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit more about JPEG PNG in just a little while. Facebook likes one, Instagram likes the other. Again, call Mark. Okay, visuals. I could spend hours just on visuals alone. This is my sweet spot. This is where I get happy. I have so much fun designing, making things look good. So, logo. These are the visuals that you need to have in your arsenal ready to go before you launch your social media for anything. You need to have your logo. You need to have a PNG and a JPEG of your logo. Why do we need a PNG of our logo? Can anybody tell me? Let me see. So, do you ever see this heart, or these hearts on the page, that poster? That confetti, that's a PNG. Because the background, the blue background behind it is a layer underneath the confetti. So it allows you to have that empty background. your logo, you're gonna place it on a whole bunch of stuff. It's not always gonna be on a white or a blue or a black background. You're gonna wanna place it on different frames and things. And you should, because it looks good that way, so you need to have a PNG of your logo. But a JPEG of your logo is gonna be smaller, put it on your website, you put it in your signature, so you need to have both. How many of you, I should have brought cookies for this one. How many of you know your logo color codes? 1, 2, there's some of you, okay. How many of you know where to get them?
Yeah.
Okay, Robin, how do you get them?
I call Kathy.
That's a correct answer. You know someone to call who you know you know.
There's a thing on my SharePoint that I can click
Yeah.
in and.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, depending on, like, I'm assuming like if you get your logo, someone sends it to you, they create it, they usually give you the codes of what it is. But if not, say for instance, you're creating it in Canva.
Yep.
When you go over to the colors and you hover over the arrow, it's gonna come up with like a hashtag tag or a pound sign or whatever.
It is a pound, yeah, well, I don't know which
I know,
instance
but
to use it.
you're-
It's that symbol.
I mean, it
Yeah,
is,
yeah, that-
okay, you're gonna see that, and then it's gonna give you some, a combination of numbers and letters. That's the code for those colors, and so for each color in your logo, which will pop up across there, when you, in Canva, you just hover over it, and right over this down to
Yes, she's correct. If you don't have a brand sheet from your graphic designer or wherever you got your logo, go ahead and spend the time to do it. If you have a paid Canva account, go ahead and put your brand in there. You can upload your logo files, you can put your colors in there. All of it is, this can get you in trouble. You can actually click that and it will change your whole design into your colors, thinking that's what you want to do, and it doesn't look right half the time. You can do that too. But spend the time, get your logo and colors organized because you're going to need them. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot for a quick second. When you go to printing, you need to remember that your computer codes, your hex code, that 6-digit number, is not the same color as your print colors. So you need to know your Pantones, because you're going to be like, well, this looks more blue than purple, and then it's going to be this topic of discussion that we printed dark gold instead of bright gold, and I don't know which gold is right. So you need to make sure that you know those. And then always remember, as you're printing, paper is going to be the baseline of everything. So if you're printing on thicker white paper, you're going to have a darker, deep color. So know your colors is basically what I'm trying to say here. Fonts. This is fun. Do you know your fonts? Okay. You should probably only have 2, 3. You need to have a main font. You need to have a title font and a body font. Something that can be used on anything. So whether you're Canva, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, websites, all of that stuff, you need to have fonts that are easy, easy to repeat, easy to use, and they're loaded on your computer. Okay? Unless you're using Canva, you don't have to download it on your computer. Photos. I always advocate for 10, 20, 30 photos in a marketing folder that I can use at any time. Like, these are fair game. I don't have to question, I need a photo go. And you should replenish it as you're going and doing your things. New event, put 3 or 4 really good ones in that folder. Don't just have a photo folder that has event A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then every photo from every event is in that folder. You or your designer or your social media person is going, I need a photo. Load. I need a photo. I still found, you see what I mean? So as you're going through, do that work as you're uploading your stuff and make sure that you're paying attention. So I would recommend for East Texas Giving Day, this campaign, go home, take 10 photos, put them in a folder, and you just have them. They're ready for your social posts. Graphics. Use graphics. Graphics are a combination of your fonts, your logos, your little swirls, swoops, anything that you can put to make your post or your print look good. It needs to be on brand and not be something that is just crazy off the wall, right? So I use graphics. Graphics are generally PNGs, just kind of a tip. If you were to export them and move them into stuff, they would be exported as a PNG. Back to PNG and JPEG. So when you're posting PNGs are gonna be more clear, more crisp, and easier. Facebook likes them better because it's a more clear representation of what you're trying to post. However, they're always a lot larger. I'm not sure why, I don't know the math behind it, but they are larger, so keep that in mind as you're putting 2 photos, a logo, some graphics, and some colors into a post. That's just gonna increase that size. And if you are uploading big, heavy pictures to Facebook, that load time is gonna be slower for that customer. I mean, internet speeds, it's not as bad now as it used to be, but just keep that in mind. So we always flattened our PNGs and post our posts as PNGs on all of our social platforms. So post them as PNGs, you'll be safe that way. All right, so here's the pictures. Everybody take a picture of that. That's what you want to post. So I don't want to be in the picture. I'll hide behind here. So this is for Facebook, right? So your profile image is 196 by 196. Horizontal images are 1200 by 630, and so on and so forth. Your vertical images, also called 9 by 16. You'll see that in the video terminology. 16 by 9 is the same as your screen, 1900 by 1080, and vertical is the same way. So, okay, and here's the one for Instagram. So Instagram, I just wish Facebook would go to squares like Instagram. And I don't know why Instagram has it be 1080 by 1080. Can it just be 1000? Right? Just a 1-to-1 aspect ratio. So we start with, I like 1200 by 1200 because it's easy. I get them a little larger and I can use them on a lot of website spots. So a lot of my stuff I'll do 1200 by 1200 by default. And notice my 1200 is the same width as my Facebook, right? So I'm not worried about losing space left to right. I'll just lose space vertically and I'll center all my stuff.
So one of the things, I don't know if you noticed this year or going into all of this, but like all the old posts from like, I don't even know, like the last few months, anything before then, like on Instagram, where they changed it, and you have to go and do like adjust ratio, click fit, or all of your things from before are like distorted on there when they changed it.
But I'm gonna look into that though. That's good. Okay, that's interesting. Video, I was hinting about this just a moment ago. The vertical video, a 9 by 16 ratio. Horizontal video is 16 by 9 ratio. Okay? So same as 1920 by 1080, 1080 by 1920. So those are good. When you're using your phone, and I know when we're recording, you have the option of all these different things that iPhone and they've given us. Don't record in square because you're already limiting yourself from those ratios. You want to make sure that you're doing vertical or horizontal, and both of those options are on there. Okay? You can crop down later. If you want to go down to a square, you can crop it down to a square later. You can't size up. Well, you can if you want to use AI, but that's just risky. Have you guys done that yet? Add it like the person's left arm's cut off, and like add the person's left arm, and you get like a flipper or something. Like it's really fun if you haven't played with it yet. You'll waste a lot of time, I promise. Okay, next design. I love to plan. Okay, I used to say a long time ago, and everybody's heard it. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. I know it's cheesy, it's bad, but it's so true. I always start with a goal or a purpose. So think East Texas Giving Day. What is our goal and purpose? This is the easiest, best little train to just get on. It's not little, you know what I'm saying? It's the best thing to just join. Everybody's doing it. A lot of people are already participating in it. The buzz is going to be up. The reach is going to be high because you have the ability to jump on the train that everybody else has going. So with this, utilize that to your ability, right? So we know that we're going to be posting X number of times. We want to raise X number of dollars for this purpose or for this specific item, right? So know your goal and purpose. This is where I'm going to steer away from a little bit of social media and talk larger picture. Because as you guys have heard today from email, other things you have going on, social media is just a small piece of this campaign. You're not going to raise all this money just on social media alone. So you need to think about it from a larger campaign perspective. So your emails, your print, your conversations, your board, your friends, your family, your partners, your social media, your video. So you need to have an idea of what all of these elements are. And guess what? All of those things should look the same, right? You should have the same branding, the same look, the same colors, the same fonts, all of these things. So a lot of the stuff that I'm covering today is not just applicable to social media, it's applicable to marketing in general. Social media is just a piece of what we do. Okay, how many posts are you gonna, how many times are you gonna post? I can't tell you how many times you should post. Some of you, I'll probably say 3 times. Some of you, I would say 15 times. It just depends on you, your audience, your ability, your strategy. So all of that kind of comes into play. And then your frequency, right? So what's the delay between posts? And I'm not talking just East Texas Giving Day. I'm talking social media as a thing. You need to be frequent. And as I'll get into kind of some of the tips and tricks later, frequency is not the same for everyone again. Some folks can post once a week and that's great. Some posts need to be posting 3 or 4 times a day. I wouldn't do that, by the way. But it just depends on what your audience is and what you need to be saying. Let's go strategy. Doing okay, I'm gonna leave some time for questions here. The number one success factor that we see in all of our campaigns today is the fact that it has a story involved in it. So, and this is where it gets hard because story doesn't just, I can't just post a picture and not tell the story, right? I can't just design a graphic for a story. Stories are more work. You have to get them. You have to curate them. You have to tell them. You have to communicate them. It's harder. It's not just I need a post. I'm going to go get a story and I'm done in 5 minutes. Well, you could go pick a quote, put it on Canva, say click, and you're done in 5 minutes and you've got a social media post. Stories are harder. That's why we're planning now. So what I would advise you to do is get 5 or 6 stories, 2 stories, 1 story. Break it up into chunks. Get stories, because that is what's going to move your audience to do whatever you want them to do. If they buy into your story, and you want them to click on that link, they're clicking. If you want them to donate, they're giving. Not always, but more often than not, they're going to be able to do it. If you're just saying, hi, I'm Brandon, and I like social media, so you should participate in this. That's not a story. There's no reason, right? You need to connect them to your audience. Because they don't know. They need to be moved. Include a call to action. Pair that story with all the assets we've already talked about, your logo, your visuals, and make sure that you have a call to action. That can be, for East Texas Giving, it's probably going to be simple. Click to give, matching gift going on now, things like that where that you can draw their attention to participate in real time. But as you're posting on a regular basis annually, go or watch this video and learn about what we do. Give them something that they can go and do and participate in, rather than just informing them all the time. Okay? How long should a post stay up? Or how long should a post, what's the lifespan of a post? Is basically what I'm trying to ask. What do you guys think? Oftentimes people will say, until the next one goes up, right? I mean, that's a true statement. Or on Instagram, it depends on how many followers you have, but in 6.5 seconds, because it just gets bumped up, it just gets moved. So that is where hashtags can provide a little bit of value. It can extend the lifespan of a post. But oftentimes, people will discount how long their post actually is providing value, right? So oftentimes they're thinking, okay, I need to post every day. And that's stressful. I mean, I post for a living for people, and it is stressful to have the pressure of, I need to come up with all these posts for all these clients every single day. There was one client that we had. It was a national camping style brand. And they asked us to post 3 times a day. And they said, this is what we have with this little bit of content, go. I have never been so stressed out in my life. Because I'm just racking my brain. I'm like, I don't have enough assets, I don't have enough video, I don't have any stories. So we were able to walk them through our process, pull the information out of the client, and we're able to get there and post 3 times a day. Months in advance by the time that we got them going, because we're able to get all the stuff curated. And then I got into my sweet spot of, well, I have all the things that I need, now I just get to have fun, right? Because you love telling people about your organization, you wouldn't be here if you didn't. So if you can get all the yucky stuff out of the way, you can just talk about your organization. That's really what you want to do all along, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to help you with. So knowing the lifespan of your post, it's longer than you think. So go ahead and let it stay up there. You don't have to post every single day. You can look at that in your analytics and your insights and see what's going on. You can see the trends of what's happening. So check that out if you get a chance. Focus on your majority audience. Oftentimes, going back to this camping brand, they said, we want to go after males and females that own an RV and that have traveled in the last year. How do I find that out? I can do the male-female, I can do own the RV, we can get that part. I can do age, I can figure that part out, but I don't know if they've traveled without going and stalking all these individual accounts saying, yep, you traveled. It's hard to do that. So you need to know your audience, but you need to know the majority of your audience. So we just stuck with, we know that we can do male-female in the United States, and we picked age 30 to 50 that own an RV, and that's what we classified as our audience. And what we started to do is to pick and choose certain things that worked for each of those audiences, and we applied more to it. For example, if you know your audience, you can tell them when an event is happening, where an event is happening. You can talk to the group, because if you're talking to the group, people are going to want to be part of that group. Does that make sense? They're going to want to participate. Like, I want that, so I'm going to engage, and they'll become part of your majority audience as you're going. But if you're just talking to everyone, and you're talking to the 5% of people, oftentimes the majority is not going to be able to follow you because they don't know what you're talking about. So follow the majority of your audience. We can expand on that one. That was a little hard. You can't please everyone. The opposite way. You can't please everyone. Be confident. That's hard. Because you don't know if your post is going to work. You don't know if the effort that you put into it is going to bring back any value. But what you can do is you know that you were prepared. You've got the heart, you've got your stories, you've got your assets, you've got everything organized and ready to go. Be confident that you did your homework and that it's going to be good. And if you can do that, the next post will be better, and the next post will be even better. But if you start to lack that confidence, I bet you're going to be done posting in 4 weeks. Like, does that make sense? You're going to go down that. Well, nobody's liking my post, and my reach is only 4 people, and I only got 2 likes, and who cares? Post the things as you develop your confidence. Get up there. Obviously, yes, you should care if people are not liking your post. I'm joking there. That's how we grow. But at the same time, that's why they tell athletes to get off of social media. Don't see what other people are saying. Don't listen to the crowd, because you need to stay in your lane and be confident and focused, and you'll do a better job because you did. That's a hard one. Commitment. All right, ready? These are sequential. Ready? Post. Do it. That's the first step. Just do it. Post when you need to post. Okay? I used to tell, way back my very first session on social media was, I would call it, I had a fun name, like Maniac Mondays or something like that, where I would advise clients to do all of their social media posts for the entire week on Monday. If you're not ahead, only on Mondays, knock out all the social media posts for that week and then go do what you gotta do and forget about it. Now you can schedule them, we have our schedulers, it's even better, but get on social media and do it. Guess what happens if you don't do it? Crickets. Nobody's gonna know about your cause. It's not gonna go as far, your impact's not gonna be as big. Be confident and do it. On a schedule. Post on a schedule, okay? This is the first best step to somebody that's just getting started on social media, is do it on a schedule. Because if you do it on a schedule, you have the ability of knowing Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I've got to post. Get those 3 posts done, I bet you take you 2 hours, if that, and you're done for the week. Get it on a schedule, get it done, and it's just much easier. And you don't have to do 3 days, I'm just giving that as an example. Okay, so we'll start it. Do it on a schedule, and don't skip anything. Don't skip a day. Facebook is recognizing the fact that you are starting a plan. And if you miss a Saturday, or you miss a Thursday, and it doesn't just, they don't calculate days, they calculate engagement. But if your engagement starts to dip, they're not going to give your post as much food as it needs to boost it back up. So as you start to decline, your post can go up, but it wouldn't go up as fast as it would if you would have kept on your schedule, right? So you want to be consistent. You want to keep that trend going up rather than roller coasters of data. I kind of alluded to this a minute ago. Social media is hungry. It will eat you up, right? It'll eat your posts. It will give you nothing in return. Social media is a very hungry beast, and the more you feed it, you might get something out of it. I'm going back to this camping brand. The camping brand, they requested 3 posts per day for a good year, 2 years. That was the strategy. And I told them, if I post 3 times a day, consistently for a year, we will grow. But if we don't have a strategy and a plan beside that, feeding that strategy, we're not going to grow as fast as you want to grow. So feeding the social media beast is one piece of it. Yes, you have to do it. You have to be consistent. You have to post on schedule. But there's more to it. There's thought. There's stories. There's call to actions. All of these assets that we talked about today are all elements of feeding the beast. So we've got a few more minutes. I'm going to do some rapid fire tips, okay? And these may or may not connect to things we've already talked about, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. Guess what? Forget social media. Send emails, okay? I know I just did a whole hour on social media and how good it is. Email's better, okay? We work for we own a marketing firm. We send way more emails than social posts. I get way better open rates. I get click-through rates. I get people donating, people signing up for events exponentially better than on social. So use your social, get those email addresses and send them emails. Okay? Don't not post. Still post, okay? It's part of the process. It's all part of the marketing plan. But email is going to give you better ROI. It's going to give you better reach. You can tell a story in an email and it's in their inbox. They're not scrolling through. They might scroll through, but you're going to get a better reader, right? So email is better. Do you guys agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts? Yes?
I don't know.
Okay.
The younger generation doesn't read emails. If I want my kids to see an email I sent them, I have to send it and then text them and say, go open your email.
You know why?
Because they're
Because they're kids. They're your kids. But if a cause that they were participating in, they loved, send them an email, guarantee you they're going to read that email over that social media
I don't
post.
think they even look at email unless they're certain jobs.
Okay, well maybe we'll have to I'll think about it from the younger
They
generation. I'm
do
still,
it 11 o'clock at night on their couch.
yeah.
I think they look at email when it's convenient for them, and for me, that I'm seeing better reading from that. So they're not reading it instantly like a post, but they're reading it at their
Right.
convenience.
And oftentimes you don't know that they are because there's no, like, you can click, like if you're using a real email tool, I think Kenny actually asked you what email systems you're using, right? So if you're using an email marketing system, whether a MailChimp or a Buffer, like that's not the same thing, you know what I'm trying to say. Those email suites, you can see who opened your emails. And you can see what time they did it and all the things that they've done. Clicked on this link, all of those things. So email is better. It's a strong statement after a social media session, but it's true. So your email and your social should complement each other. It's a relationship, okay? Just because we send a lot of emails doesn't mean we stop posting on social. I actually use social media as a funnel builder. It's a baseline. It's the top of the funnel. I'm trying to get people to come into my funnel by posting a lot on social media, engaging content stories, getting them down, call to action. Hey, give me your email address. I want you to join this newsletter, or sign up for this free webinar. I want to talk to you about such and such. Or you get them to follow into your funnel, and then you just get them. You just hook them with all the good, juicy stories, and it helps you convey them and move them along your funnel. Did you know that you need to talk to somebody around 21 times before they're even going to do anything with you? 21. I used to have 7 back in the old marketing days. It's 21 times now. Thank you, social media. Okay? So the more you can talk to them, the more you can touch them, the better. Know your audience. This is really, really important. The camping brand almost failed because they didn't have the right target. They didn't have the right audience. They thought they could just mass market it and put it out there for everyone. When we figured out who their audience was, sales increased, open rates increased, emails, all of that. It was drastically better because we knew the audience and we knew the right words to say that to that audience. And if we didn't, we're just talking to the masses. And it's like putting a billboard and letting people drive by. You know how many people don't see that billboard? That's what social media does. Okay, this is controversial. More is not better. If I would, like, again, three times a day, 365 days, their strategy was post, 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 post. And while that was a strategic move on their part, that by itself was not sufficient. You needed more to go with it. So sometimes one post a week is sufficient. It's enough. Make it very heartfelt, make it a juicy post, and make it work. You don't need to post 4 or 5, 6 times a week, daily. Because if I see another wonderful Wednesday tip, just because it's Wednesday, we've got to post. It's not how that works, okay? So it's not it's Wednesday, today's a wonderful Wednesday, I'm going to post a wonderful Wednesday tip. Don't do that. Just get past that. That's the easy stuff. You're better than that. Grow past that. Post good, juicy stuff. I actually put this in there per Kenny's request out there as I walked up. QR codes. QR codes on social media, is it good or bad? I want to have a discussion.
Terrible.
Terrible? Good, bad? Who says, I don't want to call you out. Good, bad?
No, bad. You're already online looking at
Right.
social media posts.
It's like me
You're supposed to see
posting.
it.
It's like me posting something, sitting on my phone, and then walking up. Hey, I need to scan this code. Can I borrow your phone? Yeah. Okay. QR codes are incredible. Okay. I love them, and used in the right format. They're incredible. You should use them, but don't put them in your social media posts. That's just laziness. Okay. It doesn't work. Let me take 2 steps back and explain what a QR code is. Everybody knows what a QR code is, right? It's that cool thing that tried to come into the mix like 10, 15 years ago, didn't really work, and then when COVID hit, it really worked. Like it just kind of took off. QR codes are incredible when they're used, and if your phones now have a native app, all of the phones have them. You just open your photos, scan the QR code, click the link, and you're off and running. Well, a QR code can't scan a QR code on itself. Like a phone can't scan a QR code on itself. So, if you're designing your social media posts, because you're not doing it right away, like right now for today, you're a couple of days ahead of time, duplicate that sheet, take the QR code off, put that post on social media, and then print the one thing with QR code on it, because that'll work really well. So that's where you need to know what you're trying to do.
Say that again.
Yes.
What is that?
Say that again. Okay, I said it. So if you're developing a social media post, and you want to put a QR code in there, and you're also going to be using that same graphic or something on another print item or a postcard or an email, you can put a QR code in an email though. sparingly, but you can put them in, because you have a computer. So,
But how's that?
it's
Are you gonna put like a button, was it like a hyperlink?
always, oh yeah, always. Always do a button.
Emails, that's what you mean, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, it's not
Yeah.
better in an email unless it's a button. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an audience thing. It's knowing your audience. If your audience is young, don't put a QR code in an email. They're not gonna do anything. Give them a big old orange button. That's what's gonna get them to click on it. Or sometimes, just put the link, all the things that you need to know in the PS, because they're not gonna read the email. They're just gonna skip to the PS and see what's down there. Do a PS, put the link in there. You're gonna get your millennials to click on stuff. So it's knowing your audience. So it just depends. Use your QR codes though. They're bad, by the way. Questions?
How do you feel about boosting? Is it worth the money?
Boosting is not as good as ads, but it works in small amounts. And it should not go for a very long time. So $10 here, $3 there, 2-3 days max. Because it goes with the duration, the lifespan of that post. So what you're really trying to do is milk that post for a little bit more lifespan. So boosting is okay when used sparingly. Yeah. If it really works, I'm sorry, I'll get to your question. If it really, really works, convert that into a true ad, because Facebook will reward you for the better because you've taken the time, you've met their ad standards, and you're putting it into an ad versus a boosted post. You know a boosted post is an ad, but it's the
You
real
didn't
way.
design it officially like that.
Yeah, there's more regulation of going to ads, and an ad gets more all day long.
Okay.
Yeah.
That answered mine.
That answered your question. What was your question?
If you had to change it up to do the ad, is there a price difference for boosting versus ads? I guess.
Is there a price difference? No, you can spend as much or as little as you want always. But you have boosting has like 60% ability, while ads has the 100% ability. You unlock new features, new call to action buttons. You unlock a bunch of stuff when you move it to an ad versus a boosted post.
I would say, we did use a boost before, but it was right before an event, and that was huge.
Yeah, that
Tickets-
worked really well.
Ticket sales went up, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So if you're having a gala or a big fundraiser
Yeah.
or whatever, I thought it was worth the money when we did that.
I totally agree with that. Right before an event, ticket sales, boosting, all that, very good strategy. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
The app followers,
Yes.
should that be used?
Stop using that. I'm kidding.
Use that.
No. There is a nonprofit in East Texas that keeps tagging us, and I'm about to unfollow them. So, and they're not in this room. So I've trained my mind to not look at those notifications, although I do know about them. So they give them a little bit of credit, right? I do know that they're posted frequently because I'm getting the app followers every time. Only do it when you have something important to say. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know. What is it?
So app followers is this new thing that Facebook has allowed where you can literally type in the at symbol, and then you know how an app would tag someone? So instead of tagging an individual, if you type followers, it's going to let everybody that likes your page know that you posted.
But if you do that, a millennial will block you.
Oh, we should open this can of worms.
Wait, so you.
It's a good strategy, sorry.
When you're posting.
When you're posting on Facebook.
When you make a post,
Yep.
Everybody knows.
at followers where?
Followers in the
comments.
In the post itself, or in the comments. Yeah.
And it's annoying.
It works, it gets people to follow, it gets people to listen, but I'm pretty confident it gets people to unfollow as well. So. Okay, I think it's 3:03, you're supposed to get some pictures, but I'm up here for questions if you'd like. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do for you. Thank you guys.